Chapter 1754. Purple Moon's chest began to rise and fall. The aura of life returned to her body, causing the 9 Fey old ancestors to be startled. She had clearly died during the ritual, but now she had come back to life. In these past years, the life essence of countless geniuses of my race has been swallowed by Zi Huaikong, but the majority has gone to her. The 9 Fey old ancestors whispered as they looked at Purple Moon on the altar. On the altar, the Violet Fairy was pleasantly surprised. Her tears continued to flow, but these were tears of joy. Purple Moon had come back to life. Lin Tian's entire body was stained with blood. As he saw Purple Moon's life aura recover, he relaxed. In the end, he had kept his promise to the Violet Fairy and protected Purple Moon's life. Cough! He couldn't help but cough up blood once more while the Black Moon brand in his eyes vanished bit by bit, and the energy of karmic luck emanated from his body vanished along with it. His vision grew even more blurry, and then he fell to the ground with a bang and fainted. Big brother! The Violet Fairy was startled and anxious. Then, she felt that although Lin Tian's life aura was weak, it was very stable. Only then did she feel relieved. Thank you, Lord Big Brother. She choked up and wiped away her tears. On this day, if it weren't for Lin Tian, Purple Moon would have died, and she would have died. Lin Tian had fallen to the demonic path because of her. This made her feel uncomfortable and warm at the same time. She wrapped Lin Tian and Purple Moon in a divine halo and walked out of the Fey race. Schwa schwa schwa. There was the sound of breaking air as the 9 Fey old ancestors arrived in front of the Violet Fairy. Little Violet, where are you going? The Fey old ancestor asked, his tone gentle. Get out of my way. The Violet Fairy didn't have a good impression of these people, only hatred. The Fey old ancestor's face stiffened, but he didn't become angry. He opened his mouth and said, I know that because we sacrificed Purple Moon to our ancestors, and because of what happened to you, you have a grudge against us. But our starting point was for the sake of the Fey race. We were only deceived by that bastard Zi Huaikong. He said, you are the clansman with the strongest Fey source in the history of my Fey race. In terms of Fey source alone, you might be stronger than our ancestors. Purple Moon's Fey source is also extremely astonishing. You sisters are the treasures of my Fey race, so stay here. This old man swears that I will satisfy all of your requests. As he spoke, the Fairy Grand Ancestor looked at the Violet Fairy with a face full of excitement. This was because the Violet Fairy had released her Fairy Source Radiance in order to save Violet Moon. It had shocked him. Such a Violet Fairy, as long as she continued to grow, would absolutely be able to step into the God Emperor realm. This indicated that the Fey race would absolutely have another God Emperor in the future. At that time, they would be able to look down upon the world with disdain. At the same time, although Ziyu wasn't as strong as the Violet Fairy, she had absorbed more than half of the fairy's light from the altar. It was a blessing in disguise. They weren't sure she could become a celestial emperor in the future, but she could definitely become a celestial emperor. These 2 immortal seedlings and divine seedlings were the hope of the Fey race becoming more prosperous and powerful in the future. To the side, the other 8 Fey ancestors also nodded, their faces filled with eagerness as they looked at the Violet Fairy. I will not stay with the Fey, nor will I give my sister to you. From now on, we sisters are no longer Fey. Scram. Violet Fairy said coldly. The complexions of the 9 Fey old ancestors stiffened, and they all turned ugly. Violet Fairy, the blood of the Fey race flows in your body and in your sister's body. How can you say that you aren't Fey? Are you trying to commit treason and betray the race? The 2nd Fey ancestor said in a low voice. Treason and betrayal? Betrayal? Violet Fairy laughed angrily. You have always treated us as sacrifices to our ancestors, as tools. What is the difference between you and domesticated animals to be slaughtered? So what if I commit treason and betrayal to such a race? So what if I betray you? I won't have any psychological burden. The faces of the 9 Fey ancestors became even uglier. For a time, they couldn't find the words to refute. No matter what, you and your sister must stay. In life, you're a member of the Fey race. In death, you're a ghost of the Fey race. You must contribute to the Fey race. The Fey ancestor said in a low voice. Don't even think about it. I will not contribute anything to this race, nor will I let my sister contribute anything to you. Violet Fairy naturally wasn't willing. You will be willing. The fairy matriarch's voice became a little gloomy, and her eyes fell on Lin Tian, who was wrapped in the Violet Fairy's divine light. If he can turn into a demon for you, I think the two of you must be very close. I will leave some special techniques on him to imprison him. In order to not let him suffer and to not let him die, you and Violet Moon will be obedient. Violet Fairy was immediately angry. You dare? For the prosperity of my race. There is nothing that I dare not do. The Violet Fairy and Purple Moon's Fey source energies were far too strong. The Violet Fairy herself was extremely strong, and Purple Moon had absorbed most of the accumulated Fey source light within the altar. He would never allow these two people to leave the Fey race. He coldly said to someone beside him, "Third brother, suppress them together. Treat the Violet Fairy and Purple Moon well. As for that man, use my Fey race's secret techniques to suppress him and then imprison him. Keep her and Violet Moon in check." The three Fey ancestors nodded and stepped toward Violet Fairy. Violet Fairy was shocked and angry. She wrapped Lin Tian and Violet Moon in divine light and kept pushing them back. Right now, her cultivation was only at the half-step Immortal King realm. How could she possibly stop a true god-level powerhouse? She kept retreating, protecting Lin Tian and Violet Moon with all her might. The three Fey ancestors stepped forward and looked at Violet Fairy. They said coldly, "Violet Fairy, don't blame us. We are all doing this for the Fey race." His body was mixed with the Fey radiance as he walked toward Violet Fairy step by step. At this time, he didn't care about Lin Tian, who was intertwined with the power of destiny. This was because Lin Tian was now completely powerless and unconscious. In the blink of an eye, he was only 2 meters away from Violet Fairy. Then it was also at this time that his footsteps involuntarily stopped. His true, god-level body began to tremble for no reason. A boundless fear suddenly enveloped his heart, making him unable to move. In front of him, beside Violet Fairy, a woman in white appeared silently. It was as if she had walked out of a painting. She was so beautiful that it took one's breath away. The entire world seemed to dim because of her appearance. Violet Fairy trembled and then was pleasantly surprised. She couldn't help but cry again. She choked out "Woo-ee." Just now, she really thought that she couldn't protect Lin Tian and Violet Moon. But now, this woman appeared in front of her. She was completely relieved because she knew that no one could stop this person in front of her. Don't cry." Woo-ee glanced at Lin Tian, who was unconscious and covered in blood. She glanced at Violet Fairy and reached out to gently wipe away her tears. The three Fey ancestors trembled. There was clearly no terrifying aura around Wu-Yi's body. They couldn't even feel the fluctuations of divine power. But for some reason, fear rose in their hearts. At this time, the Fey ancestor also felt that Wu-Yi was not ordinary. He couldn't help but feel a little scared. Then, when he looked at Violet Fairy, he couldn't help but ask, "Who are you, miss? Why are you interfering in the internal affairs of the Fey race?" Wu-Yi wiped away Violet Fairy's tears. As if she hadn't heard the Fey ancestor's words, she said softly, "No one is allowed to bully Ling-er." A light breeze floated in this space. The Fey ancestor and the others trembled together. In the next moment, they all turned into dust and disappeared. Let's go back. Chapter 1755. Wu-Yi led Violet Fairy, Lin Tian, and Ziyu away from the Fey and appeared at Misty Peak in the 10-direction sky region. Violet Fairy's tears had been wiped away by Wu-Yi. She looked at Lin Tian and Ziyu. Although she knew that they were fine, she was still worried and sad. "Don't worry," Wu-Yi comforted her. Violet Fairy nodded and settled Lin Tian and Ziyu in a small wooden house on Misty Peak. She quietly guarded them. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. 7 days later, Ziyu's eyelids twitched and she woke up. Ziyu! Violet Fairy had been guarding beside her. When she saw Ziyu wake up, she was overjoyed. Ziyu's eyelids twitched as she looked at Violet Fairy. Because she had just woken up, her expression was still a little confused. Sister is here. It's okay, it's okay. Violet Fairy smiled gently. Ziyu's eyelids twitched again and her eyes became clear. Her body trembled and she burst into tears. She hugged Violet Fairy and was happy and excited. Sister. Violet Fairy called her sister. This meant that she accepted her as a younger sister. Don't cry. It was my fault before. I shouldn't have lost my temper with you. I won't do it again. Violet Fairy comforted her. In the future, you can stay here and live with me. Okay. Ziyu was naturally willing to live with Violet Fairy. She paused and said, then, Father, and the clan, she didn't know that Zi Huaikong had been killed by Lin Tian. Don't worry about him, or the clan. In the future, they are them, and we are us. Violet Fairy said. Towards Zi Huaikong, she only had hatred left, and towards the Fei clan, she only had disgust. After a while, we'll go and invite Mother's memorial tablet here. This is our home, she said softly to Ziyu. As she spoke, she shifted her gaze and looked at Lin Tian, who was beside her. The blood on Lin Tian's body had long been wiped away by her divine power, but after so many days, Ziyu had already woken up, but Lin Tian was still unconscious, showing no signs of waking up. Ziyu followed the Violet Fairy's gaze and saw Lin Tian lying on the ground. Lord Big Brother. She looked at Lin Tian and then at the Violet Fairy. Did Lord Big Brother get injured because of Ziyu? She still vaguely remembered some things. When she was lying on the Fei's altar, she saw Lin Tian and the Violet Fairy rush in. They were rushing towards the altar, as if they wanted to take her away. And now, she was still alive and living in the Misty Peak. Naturally, one could guess that it was Lin Tian and the Violet Fairy who pulled her down from the altar and brought her back here to save her life. It's fine. The Violet Fairy's gaze fell upon Lin Tian. He is very strong, very strong. Nothing will happen to him. She seemed to be comforting Ziyue, but it was more like she was comforting herself. Yes. Ziyu nodded. Together with the Violet Fairy, they quietly stood guard. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months passed. Lin Tian was still unconscious and had not woken up. His consciousness had already awakened, but it was stuck in his body, enveloped by boundless darkness. Roar! Roar! In this endless darkness, his consciousness transformed into a body and moved forward. His ears were filled with the roars of millions of gods and demons. He moved forward in a daze. Then, after an unknown amount of time, the endless darkness disappeared, and his surroundings turned into a grassland. There were many fist-sized gray stones on the grassland. Flocks of sheep were running on the grassland, occasionally making bleating sounds. The next moment, he unknowingly appeared in the middle of the flock of sheep. The flock of sheep surrounded him and bleated, as if asking for grass to eat. He was puzzled and confused. Then, he trembled slightly and suddenly looked into the distance. There 2 blurry figures stood together. Although he could not see their faces clearly, he could feel that they were a man and a woman. They stood in the distance and smiled at him, making him feel very close. Who are they? He could not see the 2 clearly, but he could feel that they were very familiar, as if they were very important to him. He immediately stepped toward them. However, no matter how he moved, the distance between him and the 2 people did not shorten. Instead, it grew longer and longer. After an unknown amount of time, the 2 figures in front of him gradually disappeared. His surroundings were once again enveloped by endless darkness, completely enveloping him within. Then, in the next moment, his consciousness completely returned to his body. His body, in reality, suddenly opened his eyes and sat up. Brother! A surprised and excited voice rang out, bringing with it a faint fragrance. A figure directly pounced on him. It was the Violet Fairy. After such a long time, Lin Tian had finally woken up. She was very happy. Lin Tian looked at the Violet Fairy hugging him. Little Violet, When he woke up 3 months later, his voice was a little weak. "Yes," the Violet Fairy replied. At this time, she could not help but cry again. Thank you, Lord Brother." 3 months ago, Lin Tian had become obsessed because of her and saved the life of her only sister. However, at that time, Lin Tian was covered in blood, filled with madness and fierceness. Blood flowed from his eyes, dyeing half of his face red. It made her feel terrible and distressed. "It's okay." Lin Tian smiled. Naturally, he could feel what the Violet Fairy was thinking. "Lord Brother, you're finally awake." Another voice rang out beside him. The Violet Moon had been beside him all this time. At this time, seeing Lin Tian wake up, she was naturally very happy. The Violet Moon. Lin Tian looked at the living Violet Moon and smiled. He was not surprised because he still remembered that he had saved the Violet Moon's life before he passed out. After waking up more than 3 months later, he was still a little weak at first, but he quickly recovered and walked out with the Violet Fairy and the Violet Moon. "Brother Lin, you're really awake." As soon as he, the Violet Fairy, and the Violet Moon walked out of the room, they saw AI. AI said, "Master has finished brewing tea. He asked me to call you all to drink tea." Lin Tian naturally already knew that this place was Misty Peak. At this time, when he heard AI's words, he could not help but be slightly moved. Did Wu Yi calculate that he would wake up at this time? He started brewing tea early in the morning and just finished brewing tea at this time when he woke up. "In these 3 months, Wu Yi came to see you 7 times, the Violet Fairy said. Because Lin Tian woke up and was fine, she had returned to her usual self. She smiled at Lin Tiandao and said, "Actually, in these 3 months, you were clearly not in any danger, but you were able to make Wu Yi come to see you 7 times. You should feel proud, Lord Brother. This is an honor." Lin Tian blushed with shame and nodded repeatedly. "I am proud. I am honored." In fact, he wanted to say that he and Wu Yi had lived under the same roof for more than 300 years. Compared to this, 7 times in 3 months was really nothing. Chapter 1756. In the same small courtyard on Misty Peak, Lin Tian, Violet Fairy, Ziyu, AI, and Wu Yi sat around a small wooden table. Wu Yi was as calm as ever, pouring tea for Lin Tian and the others. "Thank you." Lin Tian smiled. Wu Yi shook his head and said nothing. The group gathered around this place and chatted about many trivial things, but the atmosphere was very good. Laughter could be heard from time to time. Lin Tian held the teacup and gradually became a little dazed. He thought of the 2 figures that he saw in his mind as if he was in a dream. He didn't know why those 2 figures appeared in his mind. He couldn't see their faces clearly, but he couldn't help but care about them. "What's wrong, brother?" Violet Fairy's voice sounded beside him. At the same time, Wu Yi and Shui, Ziyu, and AI also looked at him. Lin Tian came back to his senses and shook his head with a smile. Nothing. Violet Fairy was a little suspicious, but she didn't continue to ask. The fragrance of tea floated in the air. Several hours passed in the blink of an eye. It was already noon. Lin Tian bid farewell to Wu Yi, Violet Fairy, and the others, and then left Misty Peak. Because Ziyu was rescued and Violet Fairy was safe, he had nothing to worry about. At this time, he had to return to the Immortal Court and find Yin to calculate the whereabouts of Fanning Xiong and the Black Dragon. These 2 guys went out to train hundreds of years ago and disappeared without a trace. He was more or less concerned about them. As for Shui, he continued to stay in Misty Peak. He wanted to stay where Wu Yi lived. Whoosh! After leaving Misty Peak, he casually took a step. With a shocking sound of breaking through the air, he crossed a distance in an instant. He was surprised for a moment. This speed was many times faster than before. Immediately, he scanned his body with his divine sense, and his expression changed slightly. At this time, his cultivation had reached the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm. Is it because of those eyes from before? He muttered to himself. He remembered a bit about how he had temporarily lost himself in the Fae's forbidden land, especially those eyes. This was because when he had regained his sense of self, those eyes hadn't immediately disappeared. He had relied on the strength of those eyes to rescue Ziyu. With a sliver of doubt, he channeled the Sun Heart Sutra and tried to summon the eyes again. However, he could not do it. No matter how hard he tried, he could not summon the eyes again. Is this the reaction of Qigong deviation? He muttered to himself, then shook his head. No, it's not like that. That pair of eyes clearly contained a very special power. It was definitely not a simple reaction to being possessed by the devil. He stood in the void and pondered for a long time. In the end, he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Because no matter how he thought about it, he couldn't figure it out. Then, he walked towards the celestial court again. It didn't take long for him to return. After returning, he first said goodbye to Ji Yu and the others. Then, he went to find Yin Yip-er. Yin Yip-er had now come out of seclusion. After Lin Tiandao told her why he had come, she immediately nodded and performed the divine divination technique. A little bit of Tao light naturally intertwined around her. Then, dozens of breaths passed in the blink of an eye. Yin Yip-er stopped and said, "The Black Dragon is in a secret realm. He has obtained a great fortune and is refining it." Then, she frowned. Fan Xiong. What's wrong with Xiong? Lin Tian asked. Seeing Yin Yip-er like this, he had a bad feeling for a moment. Yin Yip-er said, "There is a very strange and powerful force surrounding his body that is interfering with my divination. However, it doesn't seem to be his own force. It seems to be some kind of powerful barrier. Moreover, his aura is very weak, and his position hasn't changed. It seems..." She frowned and continued, "It seems that he is imprisoned somewhere." Lin Tian's expression changed immediately. Fan Xiong was imprisoned. "Can you deduce the specific coordinates?" he asked. "Yes." Yin Yip-er nodded. A little bit of Tao light intertwined. After dozens of breaths passed, she told Lin Tian Fan Xiong's current coordinates. Lin Tian's expression changed again. The coordinates that Yin Yip-er had calculated were actually within the Lord Theological Seminary. Fan Xiong was imprisoned in the Lord Theological Seminary. "I know you're. I'll go there immediately," he said to Yin Yip-er. Then, he immediately left this place. He found Ji Yu and the others and told them about this matter. Then, he prepared to leave for the mystic realm. What? Hero was imprisoned? Which bastard did this? Ling Yun had returned to the celestial court more than a month ago. After learning about this matter, he was furious. He, Bai Ziki, Yang Qi, Fan Xiong, and the others had built the celestial court together with Lin Tian. They were the best of friends. Now, Fan Xiong was imprisoned. "Kill them," Wuxing Crocodile said through gritted teeth. Lin Tian nodded. Bai Ziki and Yang Qi happened to return to the celestial court. He said goodbye to Ji Yu, Lin Shi, and the others. Then he left the celestial court with Little Taichu, Wuxing Crocodile, White Tiger, Yang Qi, Bai Ziki, and Ling Yun. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the starry sky. Then, they tore open the passage to the mystic realm and stepped into the mystic realm. There were many immortal mountains in the mystic realm. The immortal spiritual qi was abundant. Lin Tian tore open the space portal in the mystic realm. Soon, he arrived outside the Lord Theological Seminary. He directly stepped into the imperial courtyard and walked toward an immortal courtyard in the southeast corner of the imperial courtyard. It's that vicious Lin. I haven't seen him for a few days. Why do I feel that he has become stronger? That little beast beside him is simply terrifying. There were many cultivators going back and forth in the Lord Theological Seminary. They were all young talents and geniuses. However, when they saw Lin Tian at this time, they couldn't help but feel a little afraid. Firstly, Lin Tian had killed 2 young supremes on the ranking of 100 immortals. It was too shocking. Secondly, the little Taichu beside Lin Tian was too terrifying. It could easily kill a peak immortal king expert. With such a heaven-defying little beast beside Lin Tian, these cultivators were even more afraid of Lin Tian. Speaking of which, what is he going to do with this group of people? I don't know. However, the direction they're going seems to be the residence of Elder Lu of the Imperial Courtyard. It is said that Elder is not only very strong, but also very good at refining medicine. It seems that he has been in seclusion for the past few years to study medicine refining. He doesn't like outsiders to get close to him. Are they going to visit that elder? Nonsense. Look at his cold face. Does he look like he's going to visit someone? Many people looked at Lin Tianyi and his group and whispered to each other. Lin Tian heard these people's voices, but he didn't care. Soon, he arrived at the immortal courtyard in the southeast of the imperial courtyard with Ling Yun, Yang Qi, and Bai Ziki. According to Yin Ye-er's calculation, Fan Xiong was imprisoned in this immortal courtyard in the Lord Theological Seminary. Who are you? Leave. This is not a place you can come to. Chapter 1757. Leave. The middle-aged man's tone was extremely cold, extremely forceful. Lin Tian didn't say anything else, directly walking forward. This is the residence of an elder. Those who trespass can be directly executed. The middle-aged man said coldly, directly raising his hand to grab Lin Tian. He didn't know that Lin Tian had a heaven-defying little beast at his side, nor did he know that Lin Tian's own strength was incomparably great. In an instant, with rumbling sounds, blazing immortal light surged, suppressing the void in all directions, directly descending on Lin Tian's head, moreover enveloping Bai Ziki and the others at Lin Tian's side as well. Get lost! Lin Tian's voice was ice-cold. Only this word. A wave of boundless power surged from his body, shattering the middle-aged man's large hand with a pu sound. The middle-aged man was immediately horrified, staggering backwards. He found this hard to believe. This person before his eyes only used a single word, just his aura, to shatter the large immortal king hand he reached out with. Lin Tian didn't say anything to this person at all, directly taking a step forward. Another wave of boundless power surged from his body. With a prung sound, the middle-aged man was sent flying, at the same time shattering the main entrance of this immortal academy. Previously, when they saw Lin Tianyi's group walk towards this immortal academy of the Lord Theological Seminary, many of the Imperial Academy's disciples felt curious, quite a few of them following them. Then, when they saw this scene, every single one of them couldn't help but widen their eyes. A while ago, when Lin Tian had just entered the Lord Theological Seminary, his cultivation level was merely at the Heaven Immortal level, completely powerless when facing Immortal King experts. However, now, when facing a mid-stage Immortal King expert, just a single word was enough to seriously injure the other party. This kind of improvement was just too terrifying. These Imperial Academy's disciples couldn't help but feel their hearts tremble. At the same time, what caused the hearts of these Imperial Courtyard disciples to tremble even more was that Lin Tian had actually destroyed the main entrance of the Elder's residence. That was simply too audacious. By doing this, the master of this Elder Immortal Academy could completely directly kill Lin Tian in the Lord Theological Seminary. Moreover, the other higher levels of the Imperial Academy wouldn't care at all, because this was Lin Tian first offending the dignity of an Imperial Academy elder. Too bold, right? Why is he doing this? All the Imperial Courtyard disciples were both surprised and bewildered, and they were completely unable to figure out why Lin Tian would do such a thing. Lin Tian didn't pay these Imperial Courtyard disciples any attention, directly entering Immortal Academy, together with Bai Ziki and the others, following the coordinates Yin Ye-er calculated, heading towards this Immortal Academy's northern corner. This Immortal Academy was very large, but apart from the main entrance that was guarded by a middle-aged Immortal King, there was no one else inside the Immortal Academy. The group easily arrived at the northern corner of this Immortal Academy. When they arrived here, the aura in the void became somewhat oppressive, and there was a faint wave of divine might interweaving in the air. There are restrictions, and they are very powerful. Ling Yun frowned. Lin Tian naturally sensed it, and his powerful Immortal King divine sense swept out, instantly causing mysterious Tao patterns to appear one after another in the air, exuding faint waves of divine might. Tao patterns of true divinity level. Yang Qi frowned. It is rumored that the Lord Theological Seminary has many elders. and even the weakest is at the level of true divinity. It is indeed so, the White Tiger said. Lin Tian didn't say anything and opened his divine eye of illusion breaker. He activated the Heavenly One soul art, and his hands gradually formed various seals. With a sudden shake, he directly shattered the formation patterns here. He didn't say anything and called by Ziki and the others to continue forward together, heading towards the coordinates Yin Yummer calculated. In another corner of the Immortal Academy, in a sealed pavilion, divine flames interweaved. A gray-robed elder held a small vessel in his hand, which was filled with bright red blood water, and was pouring it into a medicine furnace. Then, at this moment, the elder's expression changed, and a hint of surprise and coldness flashed in his eyes. He directly disappeared from the pavilion, and a wave of killing intent interweaved in the air. In the Immortal Academy's north corner, Lin Tian broke through the restrictions and quickly led by Ziki and the others to the depths of the north corner. There was a row of rooms in front of them, and there were many ancient trees outside the rooms. Lin Tian's gaze fell on the last room, and the coordinates Yin Yummer calculated were there. He called by Ziki and the others, and soon they arrived outside the room, but they were blocked by a barrier even stronger than the one before. His delusion breaker divine eye was still open, and with his mid-stage Immortal King cultivation and the Heavenly One soul art, he quickly broke through the barrier. He kicked the door open and rushed in with by Ziki and the others. The room's decorations were simple, and the smell of blood assailed their nostrils. Looking in the direction of the smell, they saw a slightly thin man with his limbs and chest pierced through by iron chains, and he was imprisoned on the wall in the depths of the room. His entire body was dyed red with blood, and the places where the iron chains pierced through had even rotted, emitting a foul smell. Lin Tian and the others immediately trembled. Although this man was very thin, his appearance didn't change. He was the simple and honest man who founded the Immortal Court with them, Fan Yingxiong with the Barbarian King physique. Yingxiong, Lin Tian strode over with a single step. Ling Yun, by Ziki and the others also stepped over, and came to the side of Fan Yingxiong, who was nailed to the wall. Lin Tian grabbed the iron chains that pierced through Fan Yingxiong's limbs and chest, and directly shattered them. Then, he immediately used the nirvana of the sun to heal Fan Yingxiong's injuries. Looking at Fan Yingxiong's current state, he couldn't help but grit his teeth, and his eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. This simple and honest old friend of his used to be very burly with the Barbarian King physique, but now he was almost unrecognizable after being tortured to this state. F***CK. Ling Yun's eyes were filled with anger. By Ziki, Yang Qi, and Wuxing Crocodile also had cold looks in their eyes. They were furious that a friend from the same hometown was treated like this. Lin Tian used the nirvana of the sun to heal Fan Yingxiong, and his mid-stage Immortal King cultivation was pushed to the limit, causing Fan Yingxiong's injuries to recover rapidly. It was also at this time that Fan Yingxiong opened his eyes in a daze, and after a pause, his turbid eyes became a little glossy. Lin Tian, then he saw Ling Yun and the others. You guys, his injuries were very serious, and he didn't know how long he had been tortured. Now he was very weak, and his voice was completely hoarse. After spitting out a few words, it was difficult for him to speak again, and there was even blood gushing out of his mouth. Don't talk, Yingxiong. Let's talk after your injuries are healed. Lin Tian opened his mouth and said. As he spoke, an even more shocking divine radiance appeared from his body, and the nirvana of the sun circulated even faster, and an even more shocking healing light enveloped Fan Yingxiong. There's no need to talk, you won't have the chance. A cold voice sounded, and outside the door, an old man in a gray robe appeared. He looked at Lin Tian, and then at Ling Yun and the others. All of you will be buried here. Chapter 1758. The gray-robed elder was the master of this Immortal Academy, his name Lu Shitao. Previously, when Lin Tian broke through the northern corner's first restriction, he already sensed something, knowing that someone had intruded. He immediately left the medicine refinement room he was in, heading towards this direction, hurrying over at this time. The 10-direction space has been sealed. No one outside will be able to sense anything that happens here. None of you can live, he said coldly. This place had a big secret of his, which was the imprisoned Fanning Xiong. He met Fanning Xiong by chance a few years ago. After discovering that Fanning Xiong had the barbarian king physique, he immediately suppressed him and imprisoned him in this place. He used Fanning Xiong's barbarian king blood to research pills. He definitely couldn't let others find out about this. Lin Tian looked at this person coldly. He stood up and said to Ling Yun, Bai Ziki, and the others, "You guys help treat Xiong's injuries. I'll kill him." In the process of treating Fan Xiong's injuries with the Sun Nirvana technique, he looked into Fan Xiong's sea of consciousness and found out everything. Fan Xiong had been imprisoned here for a full 7 years. During these 7 years, this Lu Shirtao would extract Fan Xiong's blood essence every few days to refine pills. He had tortured Fan Xiong for a full 7 years. He stepped forward, approaching Lu Shirtao step by step. Lu Shirtao had his hands behind his back. He looked at Lin Tian walking towards him and smiled coldly. "Kill me? Who do you think you were to say such words?" He saw that Lin Tian's cultivation was at the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm, but he was already at the mid-stage of the True God realm. How big was the gap between their cultivation? Lin Tian actually said that he wanted to kill him. This really made him feel that it was very funny. Lin Tian didn't say anything. His eyes were cold as he pressed towards the other party. Then his speed suddenly increased, and he appeared in front of the other party in an instant. Lu Shirtao was shocked. He was shocked by Lin Tian's speed and couldn't help but take a step back. "Yudong." Lin Tian directly waved his fist. With a fierce fist power, he shattered the void with just one punch. The front of the room was immediately shattered. This kind of physical strength moved Lu Shirtao again. He hurriedly took out his fist and collided with Lin Tian's fist. In the next moment, the two fists collided and directly shattered the surrounding space. Lu Shirtao took several steps back. The fist that collided with Lin Tian's was trembling slightly. "Your speed is very fast, and your physique is also very shocking. No wonder you dare to say that you want to kill me." Looking at Lin Tian's eyes narrowed. Then a cold light flashed across his eyes. "However, your physique is so amazing. You can let me try to deduce the barbarian king pill." As he spoke, a brilliant light flashed in his hand, and a pill intertwined with a faint blood-red brilliance appeared in his hand. He swallowed it, and his body immediately shook, and there was an amazing feeling of power intertwined with each other. Refining with the barbarian king's blood essence and other precious materials. This is the result I have achieved over the years. It can increase the strength of one's physique by more than 3 times in an instant. You are the first person to test its power. As he spoke, he directly raised his hand and slapped Lin Tian. In an instant, his powerful physical strength shattered the surrounding space. His pure physique was several times stronger than before. Son of a b****. Ling Yun and the others were furious. This person actually used the barbarian king's blood essence of their old friend to refine a pill. Lin Tian's eyes became even colder. He took a step forward and clenched his fist even tighter. He activated all the physique strength of an intermediate immortal king and threw a punch forward. With this punch, the entire sky trembled. The surrounding space shook violently. There were even strands of lightning arcs intertwined at the tip of his fist. Puff! Blood splattered everywhere. Lu Shirtao's big hand was instantly shattered. Lu Shirtao retreated, and his expression changed again. He had taken the barbarian king pill that he refined with the barbarian king's blood essence. His physical body was 3 times stronger, and his cultivation level was at the true immortal realm. Even so, he was still no match for Lin Tian. His arm was shattered by Lin Tian's punch. This cultivation level, this physical body, it is not inferior to the barbarian king body. No, it is even stronger than the barbarian king body. As he spoke, he looked at Lin Tian, and his eyes were much more sinister. "You stay here with him as well. You will be my material for refining pills." Boom! Divine power surged. He directly released the divine power of a true immortal, suppressing all directions. It was as if a galaxy had begun to surge. Lin Tian took a step forward. His eyes were cold. He immediately held up the reincarnation map. Boom! As soon as the reincarnation map was released, the mighty and terrifying aura of a true immortal suppressed everything. The two collided in the blink of an eye. Then there was a sizzling sound. The divine power that Lu Shirtao released was immediately crushed. Then, the reincarnation map's momentum did not decrease. It directly fell on Lu Shirtao's body. Blood splattered everywhere, floating in the air. Lu Shirtao was directly sent flying. His physical body almost exploded on the spot. Stabilizing his body, he looked at Lin Tian again. This Imperial Academy elder who was about to reach mid-stage true god could not help but tremble violently. His expression changed drastically. He had already released his divine power. It was no longer a battle of physical strength. However, he was still injured by Lin Tian's attack. How could you? He could not believe it. He and Lin Tian were almost a full realm apart in cultivation level. Under such circumstances, Lin Tian could actually injure him continuously. Even Ling Yun and the others were moved. Although they knew that Lin Tian was very powerful, seeing Lin Tian suppress Lu Shirtao, who was about to reach mid-stage true god, they still could not help but be shocked. Good. Kid, quickly kill him, Wuxing Crocodile said through gritted teeth. Lin Tian naturally would not stop. The reincarnation map was released again. It directly pressed down on the other party, suppressing the void in all directions. Lu Shirtao's heart palpitated. He gritted his teeth and released his divine Dao Law. It attacked Lin Tian's reincarnation map. Lin Tian's eyes were cold. The nameless Dao Law was supported by the nature Immortal Dao and the lightning vortex Immortal Dao. In the blink of an eye, it merged with the reincarnation map, forming the strongest Immortal Dao reincarnation map. Once the Immortal Dao reincarnation map was released, it instantly suppressed Lu Shirtao's divine Dao Law and shattered it. Only his divine soul was preserved and was not crushed by the Immortal Dao reincarnation map. He looked at Lin Tian in shock, as if he was looking at a monster. Lin Tian's eyes were emotionless. He formed the Immortal Dao reincarnation map again and pressed down on the other party majestically. Lu Shirtao quickly reformed his physical body and released his strongest attack. However, he was still sent flying. His body became tattered in the blink of an eye. Even his divine soul was injured because of this. Lin Tian stepped forward with icy killing intent. He pressed forward again. Chapter 1759. At this time, Lu Shirtao truly felt fear, truly frightened by the strength Lin Tian displayed. He had heard that there were a few individuals in the top 10 of the 100 Immortals ranking who could kill true deities at the Immortal King realm, but those individuals, according to what he knew, were all half-step true deities. However, Lin Tian was only at the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm, already making him feel a sense of death. This left him inwardly horrified, no longer daring to face Lin Tian head-on. So, his speed was extremely fast, crossing extremely far in an instant. Lin Tian's expression was ice-cold, directly chasing after him, killing intent intimidating. Back then, when he was still at the early stage of the Immortal King realm, he could already kill early-stage true deity cultivators. Now his cultivation reached the mid-stage of the Immortal King realm, so when facing someone who was about to reach the mid-stage of true deity, he naturally could kill him as well. With a schwa sound, he crossed extremely far with a single step. Raising his hand, he immediately released a fist. Boom! A rumbling noise sounded, the great void directly collapsing. His old friend was tormented for 7 years, treated as a pill refinement material. This left him furious beyond belief. Lu Shirtao backed up, avoiding this fist, but he couldn't completely avoid Lin Tian's fist power. A strand of fist power landed on his body, directly blasting him until he coughed out blood and flew outwards. This made this true deity-level expert even more horrified, immediately fleeing with even greater speed towards Immortal Academy's outskirts. Lin Tian took a step forward. The reincarnation diagram of the monarch region rose up once again, interweaving with a divine and incomparably vast aura, crushing towards this person in a grandiose manner, shattering the boundless great void. Pong! Lu Shirtao was blasted flying, blood spurting out from his mouth, his true deity body becoming tattered. However, he didn't dare stay here in the slightest, continuing to flee towards Immortal Academy's outskirts. Lin Tian's eyes were ice-cold, carrying killing intent as he chased after him. Hong! 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 Astonishing divine might surged. One fled and defended, the other attacked and chased. In the blink of an eye, they left Immortal Academy. Outside Immortal Academy, there weren't many Imperial Academy disciples, but there weren't few either. They were all gathered here because Lin Tian attacked the Elder's residence with chilling intent. When they saw this scene, all of them were horrified. The group of Imperial Courtyard disciples trembled in fear. An elder of the Lord Theological Seminary was being hunted down by Lin Tian, an Imperial Courtyard disciple. This was the first time something like this had happened since the founding of the Lord Theological Seminary. After that, these people were once again shocked by Lin Tian's strength. There were many elders in the Imperial Academy, and Lu Shirtao was not considered the strongest among them. However, he was about to step into the intermediate true God realm. But now, he was being hunted down by Lin Tian, who was at the Celestial King realm. In that case, how terrifying was Lin Tian's combat strength? This is enough to compare with those few young Supremes in the top 10 of the ranking of 100 Immortals. These people were shocked. Lin Tian didn't care about the shock and discussion of these people at all. He chased after Lu Shirtao with the duality steps and closed the distance between him and Lu Shirtao in an instant. Then, he threw another punch. With a bang, accompanied by the collapse of the void, Lu Shirtao was sent flying again. Half of his body was directly smashed into pieces. He was shocked and furious. He quickly reformed his physical body and fled into the distance. At the same time, he continued to flee into the distance. At the same time, his expression was very ugly. This was because he was a dignified elder of the Imperial Academy, with the cultivation of the true God realm. Now he was being hunted down by a celestial king. Moreover, he was being watched by a group of Imperial Courtyard disciples. It was simply humiliating. Whoosh! He gritted his teeth and rushed into the distance even faster. However, Lin Tian was even faster. In the blink of an eye, he caught up with him and threw another punch. This punch landed firmly on the other party's back, shattering this person's physical body. Damn it! This person was shocked and furious. His divine soul was not destroyed. He quickly reformed his physical body and fled again. Lin Tian didn't say anything and directly chased after him. He now had the strength to kill an early-stage true God realm cultivator, but a true God was a true God after all. It was naturally not easy for him to kill the other party. Buzz! The space between his brows shone, and the yin-yang lotus sea phenomenon was activated. It evolved into a black and white lotus sword that slashed straight at the other party. Lu Shirtao could clearly sense that this lotus sword was not ordinary. He dodged with extreme speed and continued to flee into the distance. However, Lin Tian caught up with him at this moment. He raised his hand and threw another heavy punch. Once again, Lu Shirtao was sent flying and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. However, a true god was not easy to kill. Lu Shirtao repaired his physical body in the blink of an eye and fled again. Lin Tian naturally wouldn't let him go. He chased after him all the way. Gradually, the two of them were seen by more and more Imperial Courtyard disciples, one fleeing and the other chasing in the Imperial Courtyard, causing everyone to be shocked. An Imperial Courtyard disciple was actually chasing after an Imperial Courtyard elder in the Imperial Courtyard. It's that Lin Tian again. Previously, he was helpless against a peak immortal king, but now he can actually chase after a true god powerhouse? The Imperial Courtyard disciples were all shocked. Lin Tian didn't care at all. He only chased after Lu Shirtao. Lu Shirtao naturally ran with all his might. He didn't dare to stop at all. Elder Lu, this is... In front of him, another Imperial Courtyard elder who had a good relationship with Lu Shirtao appeared. He was shocked when he saw this scene. Elder Nye, I'll tell you later. Tell me first. Lu Shirtao looked at Elder Nye in front of him and said anxiously. Elder Nye nodded. His strength was similar to Lu Shirtao's. He took a step forward and pressed down on Lin Tian. He said coldly, as a disciple of the Imperial Courtyard, how dare you attack an Imperial Courtyard elder? How dare you? Get lost. Lin Tian's cold voice carried a majestic aura. He interrupted the elder's words and sent him flying with a bang. Then, he continued to attack Lu Shirtao. Lu Shirtao was shocked and fled even faster. At the same time, he used all kinds of secret techniques to stop Lin Tian from chasing after him. However, it was useless. Lin Tian activated the reincarnation diagram, and in the blink of an eye, he was in front of Lu Shirtao again. Boom! He threw out a punch that carried the sound of thunder and the power of the 5 heavenly lightning technique. With a puff, Lu Shirtao was smashed into pieces. However, Lu Shirtao's divine soul was still intact, and he escaped again. Lin Tian didn't say anything. He continued to chase after Lu Shirtao with boundless killing intent. Stop! A cold voice sounded. A green-robed elder appeared in front of Lu Shirtao. His divine aura was much stronger than Lu Shirtao's. Ninth Elder. Many of the Imperial Courtyard's disciples in the surroundings were astonished. Ninth Elder. Lu Shirtao heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the person in front of him. There were more than 100 elders in the Imperial Courtyard. In the past, the 10th Elder was the strongest, and all of them were half-step heavenly gods. Lin Tian could feel the strength of this person. He paused for a moment before he rushed forward again. His gaze fell on Lu Shirtao, and he didn't hide his killing intent at all. This, facing the half-step heavenly god realm 9th Elder's warning, he didn't do anything. The surrounding Imperial Courtyard disciples were shocked. Chapter 1760. Seeing that Lin Tian still dared to attack Lu Shirtao with killing intent even after the half-step heavenly god realm 9th Elder had appeared, the Imperial Courtyard's disciples felt their hearts palpitating. Wasn't this a little too audacious? How dare you? The 9th Elder's face darkened. As a disciple of the Imperial Courtyard, how dare Lin Tian chase after an elder of the Imperial Courtyard? Now that he had stepped forward, Lin Tian still did not restrain his killing intent. He was too brazen and insolent. Lu Shirtao stood behind the 9th Elder and pointed at Lin Tiandao. 9th Elder, he's too presumptuous. We can't let him go. The 9th Elder nodded and made his move, grabbing at Lin Tian. Boundless half-step heavenly god's aura intertwined, sealing the surroundings. An Imperial Courtyard's disciple dared to attack an elder of the Imperial Courtyard. This was a grave offense. Lin Tian's body trembled as he sensed the terrifying aura of death. After all, his opponent's cultivation was much higher than his own. Even so, he still did not retreat. Boom! The sky was filled with thunderous roars. At this moment, he directly activated the 5 lightning divine domain, which completely covered an area with a radius of 1,000 feet. In an instant, purple lightning flashed and rumbled. He actually attacked? He's really not going to retreat? What happened between him and Elder Lu? How? How could he ignore the Imperial Courtyard's rules? Even after the half-step heavenly god realm 9th Elder stepped forward, he still wants to attack Elder Lu? He dares to act like this in front of a half-step heavenly god. Isn't he courting death? How could he kill Elder Lu, who is standing behind the 9th Elder? There's no way he can get past the 9th Elder. In the surroundings, the Imperial Courtyard disciples could not help but shake their heads. They felt that even though Lin Tian's injuries were boundless, he was still a little brainless and did not understand the current situation. The 9th Elder's face darkened, and his hand became even more terrifying and intimidating. An Imperial Courtyard's disciple dared to ignore the 9th Elder's obstruction. This was the first time this had happened. Heh. Behind the ninth elder, Lu Shirtao sneered. He felt that Lin Tian was dead for sure. There was no way he could stop the ninth elder, who was a half-step heavenly god. Rumble. Thunder rumbled as purple, lightning bolts descended from the heavens. The ninth elder's large hand directly pressed down on Lin Tian's head. The might of a half-step heavenly god shook the hearts and souls of people, causing the surrounding space to tremble. However, at the instant when the large hand imprint was about to land on Lin Tian's head, with a swish, Lin Tian disappeared from where he stood. In the next instant, Lu Shirtao's expression changed. Lin Tian suddenly appeared behind him. It was as if he had teleported, directly dodging the ninth elder's attack. He was shocked. "You die." His cold voice reverberated. Lin Tian spat out this single word and directly punched towards this person. This punch contained the core force of all kinds of wondrous techniques. This was a punch he unleashed with all his strength. Ah! Blood splattered everywhere, accompanied by a miserable scream. Lu Shirtao was smashed into pieces by this punch. Even his soul was shattered. For a moment, all the Imperial Courtyard's disciples trembled. In an instant, he went past the ninth elder and killed Elder Lu. How did he do it? These Imperial Courtyard's disciples didn't see how Lin Tian moved, suddenly appearing beside Lu Shirtao, who was behind the ninth elder. Every one of them was bewildered. At the same time, these people were also shocked by Lin Tian's strength and courage. He actually killed the true God realm Lu Shirtao with his mid-stage Immortal King cultivation base, and killed an Imperial Courtyard's elder in front of the ninth elder, who was a half-step heavenly god. This was definitely the first time in the history of the Lord Theological Seminary. The ninth elder's expression became incomparably gloomy. A mere mid-stage Immortal King cultivator actually dared to attack him, a half-step heavenly god, and killed an Imperial Courtyard's elder who was behind him. Moreover, this was witnessed by all the Imperial Courtyard's disciples. This made him feel embarrassed. Die! Looking at Lin Tian, his eyes became extremely cold. He directly formed a dazzling light sword, which was mixed with the might of a half-step heavenly god, and slashed at Lin Tian. Lin Tian's expression changed. Previously, he had used the divine domain of 5 lightning to teleport instantly and appeared behind Lu Shirtao to kill him. But now, the ninth elder sword was obviously many times more terrifying than the palm from before. He couldn't even use the divine domain of 5 lightning to teleport horizontally. The surrounding void was completely confined, and even his divine energy was not flowing smoothly. In the blink of an eye, the killing light sword arrived in front of him. "Stop!" At that moment, a calm voice rang out. A white-haired old man appeared in the sky, causing the ninth elder, who was about to attack, to stop. "Old Gu!" Seeing this old man, the ninth elder's expression changed slightly, and he bowed respectfully. Seeing this white-haired old man, Lin Tian naturally recognized him. It was the old man who had invited him to join the Lord Theological Seminary. Moreover, the old man had saved his life back then. He immediately bowed and said, "Greetings, Senior." At the same time, he was slightly moved because from the attitude of the ninth elder, who was a half-step heavenly god, this white-haired old man seemed to have a high status in the Lord Theological Seminary. "What's going on?" the white-haired old man asked. The ninth elder immediately pointed at Lin Tian and said, reporting to old Gu, "This young man is extremely daring. He relied on his strength to kill an elder of our Imperial Courtyard. This old man is about to execute him." The white-haired old man's eyes narrowed slightly. He paused for a moment, then looked at Lin Tian and said simply, "Reasons?" He was the one who had invited Lin Tian to join the Imperial Courtyard. He had some understanding of Lin Tian and felt that Lin Tian wouldn't kill someone for no reason. Lin Tian faced this old man. This old man had secretly helped him before, so he was extremely respectful towards him. Reporting to Senior, Lu Shirtao suppressed an old friend of Junior's in the Imperial Courtyard, using Junior's friend's essence blood to refine pills. This has already been going on for many years, which is why Junior decided to kill him. As soon as these words came out, The disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were shocked. That Lu Sherdao actually did such a thing. Nonsense. How could an elder of our Lord Theological Seminary do such a thing? Do you think you can avoid punishment by making up such a story? The ninth elder said coldly. He didn't believe Lin Tian's words at all. He felt that Lin Tian was making up such a story to avoid punishment. At the same time, he didn't admit to such a thing from the bottom of his heart. This was because the 100 ordinary elders of the Lord Theological Seminary were managed by the top 10 elders. If such a thing really happened, it would greatly affect the reputation of the imperial courtyard. At that time, he and the other 9 elders who were in charge of these ordinary elders would be punished by the imperial courtyard's higher-ups. Chapter 1761. The middle-aged man in Ling Yun's hand was the immortal king who was guarding the entrance of the Lu Shirtao Immortal Academy. After Lin Tian sent him flying, he saved Fan Yingxiong and chased after Lu Shirtao. After stabilizing his injuries, he happened to see Ling Yun and the others coming out with Fan Yingxiong. When he saw that Lin Tian was not with them, he immediately attacked them. He wanted to capture Fan Yingxiong and suppress Ling Yun and the others to threaten Lin Tian. However, the ending was naturally very tragic. In the group, although Lin Tian went to chase after Lu Shirtao, the little Taichu was still there. He was directly suppressed and suffered a beating from Ling Yun and Wuxing Crocodile. Senior, you can search his sea of consciousness. This proves that Junior's words are true. Lin Tian looked at the middle-aged man in Ling Yun's hand and said to the white-haired elder. Ling Yun threw the middle-aged man out at the right time, and he landed on the ground with a bang. Go, elder, go. Aye. As Lu Shirtao's trusted aide, the middle-aged man had stayed in the Lord Theological Seminary for many years. He naturally recognized the white-haired elder and knew how strong he was. The white-haired elder did not say anything. He looked at the middle-aged man and directly sent a strand of divine sense into his sea of consciousness. Then he withdrew. The middle-aged man trembled even more. Elder go, aye, pooh. Before he could finish his words, he directly exploded. Then, not even a drop of blood was left. His entire body and soul were destroyed. Such a scene caused the expressions of all the imperial courtyard disciples to involuntarily change. The middle-aged man had clearly been killed by the white-haired old man. From the looks of it, it was sufficient to prove that Lin Tian's previous words were true. An elder of the imperial courtyard, many imperial courtyard disciples whispered to each other. The Lord Theological Seminary was the true #1 inheritance in the immortal realm and the surrounding worlds. It had always been righteous in front of the world. Now, an elder of the imperial courtyard actually used the blood of others to refine pills. This was really hard to imagine. At the same time, these people were also shocked by the strength of the white-haired old man. A mid-stage immortal king had vanished just like that. However, they didn't even see how the white-haired old man killed him. The ninth elder of the imperial courtyard's expression turned ugly. He naturally knew that Lin Tian was telling the truth. Elder Gu, the ordinary elders of the imperial courtyard were managed by him and the other 9 elders, but now something like this had happened. Such an incident would damage the reputation of the imperial courtyard. It could be said that it was the first stain on the Lord Theological Seminary since its establishment, and it was not a small one. Go and receive your punishment. The white-haired old man said. He descended from the void and came to Lin Tian's side. Let me see your friend. Lin Tian's heart skipped a beat. The white-haired old man's words clearly meant that he wanted to help Fan Yingxiong heal. Senior, please, he said. Fan Yingxiong had been tortured for a total of 7 years. His injuries were too heavy and too deep. Even if he used the Sun Nirvana art with his immortal king level cultivation, it would be very difficult for him to completely recover in a short period of time. Now, if this expert helped, Fan Yingxiong's injuries would be completely healed very quickly. The white-haired old man's name was Guqing. He came to the front of Ling Yun and the others. Looking at the weakened Fan Yingxiong, he directly raised his hand. A large amount of divine light enveloped Fan Yingxiong. The divine light contained a shocking amount of divine essence. causing Fan Yingxiong's injuries to recover at an extremely fast speed. Lin Tian was immediately overjoyed. As expected, this white-haired old man was very powerful. At this moment, Fan Yingxiong's injuries were healed by 60% in the blink of an eye. Buzz! In the white-haired old man's hand, even more divine light surged towards Fan Yingxiong. After that, a faint light flashed in his eyes. Lin Tian saw the strange expression of the white-haired old man. His heart couldn't help but tremble. It seemed that the white-haired old man had seen through Fan Yingxiong's barbarian king body. The divine light enveloped this area. After dozens of breaths, Fan Yingxiong's spirit, energy, and vitality completely recovered. His face was truly rosy, but his body didn't immediately become as sturdy as before. Many thanks, Senior. Thank you, Senior. Fan Yingxiong was the first to express his gratitude. Lin Tian also said, "Thank you, Senior, for your help with Fan Yingxiong's injuries. Even with the help of the sun's nirvana art, it would take at least half a year for him to fully recover. But now, with the white-haired old man's help, he was completely healed in the blink of an eye." He was very grateful. The white-haired old man shook his head. "The Imperial Courtyard's people injured him. It's only right for me to do so. There's no reason for me to accept your gratitude." As he spoke, a baodan appeared in his hand. He handed it to Fan Yingxiong and said, "This is the Purple Heaven Immortal Pill. It can allow your cultivation to reach the Heaven Immortal Realm from the peak of the Profound Immortal Realm in a short time. Consider my apology on behalf of the Imperial Courtyard." Currently, Fan Yingxiong's cultivation was at the peak of the Profound Immortal Realm. This Purple Heaven Immortal Pill contained an extremely shocking amount of immortal energy. It could allow Fan Yingxiong to reach the Heaven Immortal Realm from the peak of the Profound Immortal Realm in half a month. The surrounding Imperial Courtyard's disciples couldn't help but be moved. It wasn't that they were jealous of the Purple Heaven Immortal Pill. After all, those who could enter the Imperial Courtyard were mostly Heaven Immortals and above. This kind of baodan was worthless to these Imperial Courtyard's disciples. What surprised them was that the white-haired old man, a true high-ranking member of the Imperial Courtyard's upper echelon, was actually apologizing to an ordinary cultivator like this, and even gave out a baodan as an apology. Lin Tian was also moved by this, and he couldn't help but respect this white-haired old man even more. Fan Yingxiong looked at the Purple Heaven baodan that the white-haired old man handed over, and quickly waved his hands. No. I can't accept this. Senior, you've already helped me heal my injuries. How can I accept such a precious thing from you?" He looked panicked, but it was obvious that he was very honest. The white-haired old man smiled and directly shattered the baodan in his hand, sending its essence into Fan Yingxiong's body. "Remember to refine it later." Lin Tianyi was stunned, and so were Ling Yun and the others. They didn't expect the white-haired old man to be so direct, shattering the baodan and sending its essence into Fan Yingxiong's body. This was practically a force gift. Thank you, Senior. Thank you, Senior. Fan Yingxiong repeatedly expressed his gratitude. He didn't expect the white-haired old man to do this at all. He had no choice but to accept it now. Or rather, the white-haired old man had already forced him to accept this great gift, because the baodan's power had completely merged into his body. The white-haired old man smiled, and his gaze fell on Yang Qi, who was standing in the group. A faint light flashed in his eyes, and he asked Lin Tiandao, "Is this also your friend?" "Yes." Lin Tian nodded, and then asked, "That's Senior. Do you think it's possible for my two friends to join the Imperial Courtyard as well?" He, Ling Yun, and Bai Ziki all had the Emperor's token of the Lord Theological Seminary, and were now disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary, so they naturally hoped that Yang Qi and Fan Yingxiong could also become disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary, so that they could train and cultivate together in the future. The white-haired old man nodded. Of course, they are completely qualified. Chapter 1762. Yang Qi and Fan Yingxiong naturally knew about the Lord Theological Seminary. Therefore, They would not refuse the invitation of the white-haired old man, Guqing. Fan Xiong, in particular, had just been given a big gift. Even if he did not know what the Lord Theological Seminary was, he would still agree. Okay. The white-haired old man nodded with a smile. After a pause, he looked at Lin Tianyi and the others and said, "Not long ago, the imperial courtyard found a huge, desolate, ancient relic. In a few days, all the disciples of the imperial courtyard will go there for a trial. I look forward to your performance." As soon as he finished speaking, he nodded to Lin Tian and the others, and then he silently vanished on the spot, as if he'd never appeared. Trial? What trial? Wuxing Crocodile was a little surprised. Is it the ancient road that the old man mentioned before? Lin Tian glanced at it and said, "Didn't you hear that they found a desolate ancient relic not long ago? It has nothing to do with that ancient road. There must be a lot of treasures in there." White Tiger's eyes lit up as if it had seen a lot of treasures. Lin Tian did not say anything. He glanced at the disciples of the imperial courtyard and asked Bai Ziki and the others to leave. Now, they had found Fan Xiong. They had not seen each other for hundreds of years. Naturally, they had to get together. At the same time, the white-haired old man had forced the efficacy of the purple heaven immortal pill into Fan Xiong's body. At this time, Fan Xiong needed to find a place to refine the efficacy of the pill. Immediately, they left this place and headed toward the residence that Lin Tian had chosen in the imperial courtyard. Soon after, they returned to their residence. Fan Xiong immediately went into seclusion to refine the efficacy of the purple heaven immortal pill in his body. Then, half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Boom! On this day, a shocking pressure of a heaven immortal was emitted from Lin Tian's residence. After refining the efficacy of the purple heaven immortal pill in his body, Fan Xiong directly advanced to the middle stage of the heaven immortal realm. It went up by 3 small steps. White Tiger was a little surprised. The purple heaven immortal pill was really amazing. That senior is such a good person. The boudin that he gave me is too amazing. It must be very valuable. Fan Xiong scratched the back of his head and said, "Well, should I go and thank him again?" From the peak of the mysterious immortal realm to the mid-stage of the heavenly immortal realm in half a month, one had to admit that the energy contained within the boudin was truly shocking. It's fine. That boudin is nothing to that senior. Lin Tiandao. Furthermore, we have no idea where that senior lives. That's right, there's no need to thank me. We haven't seen each other in a few hundred years. Let's catch up and drink tonight. Wuxing Crocodile said. On this day, Lin Tian's residence was very lively. Fan Xiong was fine, and his cultivation had increased greatly. These are all good things. The group of people drank and chatted until the next morning. By the way, the young man with the sword and the young man with the sword don't know much about the Lord Theological Seminary. Let's show them around. After that, we'll make preparations to go to the trial that the white-haired old man mentioned. Wuxing Crocodile said. It was Yang Qi's first time in the Emperor God Academy. Although Fan Xiong had been in the Lord Theological Seminary for several years, he had always been imprisoned. It could be said that although he knew the name of the Lord Theological Seminary, he didn't know the various distribution of the Lord Theological Seminary at all. Well, that's true. Lin Tian nodded. After all, they were going to stay in the Lord Theological Seminary for a long time. Naturally, they had to let Yang Qi and Fan Xiong really understand the Lord Theological Seminary. Immediately, the group of people left the residence and led Yang Qi and Fan Xiong to every corner of the Lord Theological Seminary. That Lin Tian, ruthless no strong. He's both ruthless and strong. There were many geniuses and elites coming and going in the Lord Theological Seminary. After seeing Lin Tian, most of them couldn't help but tremble in fear. This was because a few days ago, the news that Lin Tian killed an Imperial Dean Elder in the Lord Theological Seminary had spread throughout the Lord Theological Seminary. It could be said that there was no one who didn't know about it. He can kill a true god at the Immortal King realm. Other than the person who ranks first in the top 10 of the ranking of 100 immortals, he can probably fight with everyone else. This person is simply terrifying. Many people gasped. Lin Tian saw the fear in these people's eyes and heard some of the cultivators' discussions. However, his expression didn't change at all. He led Yang Qi and Fan Yingxiong to other places in the Lord Theological Seminary. However, in the next moment, he stopped and looked ahead. Right in front of him, a young man in blood-red clothes walked over. He was surrounded by an extremely terrifying evil force, as if he had stepped out of hell. Yi Yinshang. Around them, the other disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary naturally saw this person. Many of them couldn't help but tremble because Yi Yinshang's name was a little scary. He was a young supreme being ranked 9th on the ranking of 100 immortals and the next realm lord of the world of souls. He had the bloodline of the dead spirits and was very powerful. This is Yi Yinshang? The Wuxing crocodile was moved. He's really extraordinary and very powerful. At this moment, it felt that this person was terrifying. He was like a moving hell. Even people as calm as by Ziki and Yang Qi couldn't help but reveal a trace of surprise when they saw Yi Yinshang at this time. They felt a huge pressure from this person, which was as huge as a mountain. A light flashed in Lin Tian's eyes. This was the first time he saw Yi Yinshang, and he could see how terrifying the other party was with just a glance. With his current strength, he actually didn't have the confidence to defeat the other party. Yi Yinshang walked over. His cold eyes fell on Lin Tian. Every step he took shook the space. He walked straight to Lin Tian and was less than half a meter away from Lin Tian. Staring at Lin Tian, his eyes were cold, and the aura on his body gradually became colder. The entire space shook because of it. Lin Tian was unmoved. His expression was calm, and the aura on his body became stronger, colliding with the other party's aura. Suddenly, the space in this place cracked, and shocking electric arcs flashed between the two of them. Then, the entire surface of this place began to tremble, as if the end of the world was about to arrive. The surrounding disciples of the imperial courtyard couldn't help but feel their hearts palpitate, and they couldn't help but step back. It's just a collision of auras, and it's actually so strong. Many cultivators trembled. Even people as strong as Bai Ziki, who had the thunder god physique at the peak of the sky immortal realm, and even people as strong as Yang Qi and the others couldn't help but step back when Lin Tian and Yi Yinshang's auras collided. Only little Tai Chu wasn't affected by this aura at all. With a rumbling sound, Lin Tian's aura continued to collide with Yi Yinshang's aura, and it gradually became stronger. What happened between them? Are they going to fight in the imperial courtyard? Chapter 1763. Lin Tian and Yi Yinshang stood face to face. Their majestic auras collided as if they could shatter everything. Arcs of lightning appeared in the air, as if they could destroy everything in their surroundings. This situation, are they really going to fight in the imperial courtyard? The Lord Theological Seminary's rules are very strict. It forbids any disciple from killing each other in the imperial courtyard. Once that happens, even the number 1 on the ranking of 100 immortals will be severely punished. So, they shouldn't be fighting for real, right? Many disciples of the imperial courtyard discussed softly. With a rumble, Lin Tian and Yi Yinshang's auras collided. Their auras became stronger and stronger, causing the surrounding space to shatter inch by inch. Dense arcs of lightning interweaved around the two of them, becoming even more terrifying. In terms of auras, they're evenly matched. That Lin Tian, is he really able to fight against Yi Yinshang, a young paragon in the top 10 of the ranking of 100 immortals? Previously, when Lin Tian killed the true immortal realm Lu Shitao, the disciples of the imperial courtyard already felt that Lin Tian could fight against everyone in the top 10 of the ranking of 100 immortals except for the number 1. However, when they saw that Lin Tian and Yi Yinshang's auras were evenly matched, they couldn't help but feel shocked. It was also at this moment that Lin Tian and Yi Yinshang's auras rose to an extremely terrifying level, forcing the surrounding imperial courtyard disciples to retreat more than 1,000 zhang away. This was because at such a close distance, It was impossible to withstand the collision of the two's terrifying auras. "What are you doing?" At this time, a deep voice sounded. A figure appeared in the distance. It was an old man, and the divine aura around his body was very clear. He was an elder of the Lord Theological Seminary, and he was at the peak of the true, immortal realm. Lin Tian and Yi Shang stood face to face, and it was obvious that they were both elders of the imperial courtyard. Their auras slowly dissipated. "It's best if you don't go out," Yi Shang said coldly and walked past Lin Tian. He didn't hide his killing intent towards Lin Tian at all. It was Lin Tian who stole his cultivation materials, made a scene in the world of souls, and killed a city lord of the capital city and a group of experts from the world of souls. He knew all of this, and Lin Tian was already on his must-kill list. However, he couldn't make a move at this moment because this was the Lord Theological Seminary. No Imperial Courtyard disciple would dare to make a move against another Imperial Courtyard disciple in the Lord Theological Seminary, not even the number one on the ranking of 100 Immortals. Moreover, at this time, there was already an elder of the Lord Theological Seminary who was at the peak of the true God realm who stood out to stop them. "I'll return those words to you word for word," Lin Tian said with his back to Yi Shang. The other party said that it was best for him not to go out. It was nothing more than a deterrent. In other words, if he went out, the other party would kill him. In that case, he would naturally do the same. As long as the other party walked out of the Lord Theological Seminary, as long as he met him, he would directly kill him without mercy. In that case, why don't you go out now and have a life-and-death battle? Once you're out of the Imperial Courtyard, no one will be able to stop you. At this time, a feminine voice rang out. Not far away, a young man in black appeared with the corners of his mouth curled up. Although he was smiling, he gave off a cold feeling. Number 10 on the ranking of 100 Immortals, Lan Tianjin. The crowd of Imperial Courtyard disciples was dumbfounded when they saw this. "Lan Tianjin, don't stir up trouble," the elder of the Imperial Courtyard said in a deep voice. Obviously, he recognized this person. After all, he was a young paragon ranked in the top 10 of the ranking of 100 Immortals. Not many people in the celestial realm didn't know him. "Elder, you've wronged me. I'm just giving them a very appropriate suggestion at the right time." The corner of Lan Tianjin's mouth curled up. With a very uncomfortable smile, he looked at Lin Tian and Yi Shang. "The two of you, the suggestion has been given. It's up to you whether you want to go out or not. Men shouldn't just talk big." Around them, the Imperial Courtyard disciples couldn't help but look at each other. Lan Tianjin was obviously instigating Lin Tian and Yi Shang to walk out of the Lord Theological Seminary and have a life-and-death battle. These people looked at each other, but their eyes couldn't help but flicker. Yi Shang was ranked 9th on the ranking of 100 Immortals. Lin Tian was already able to kill true Immortals in the Immortal King realm. If these two people fought to the death, it would definitely be very interesting. Yi Shang stopped and glanced at Lan Tianjin, then looked at Lin Tian and said coldly, "You dare?" Lin Tian also glanced at Lan Tianjin, then looked at Bai Ziki and the others. "You guys stay in the Lord Theological Seminary." After saying that, he directly walked out of the Lord Theological Seminary without even looking at Yi Shang. He's really walking out of the Lord Theological Seminary? He's going to have a life-and-death battle with Yi Shang outside the Lord Theological Seminary? Seeing this, many Imperial Courtyard disciples couldn't help but be moved. Lan Tianjin instigated Lin Tian and Yi Shang to fight outside the Imperial Courtyard. Yi Shang asked Lin Tian if he dared, but Lin Tian didn't say anything and directly walked out of the Lord Theological Seminary. This was really a bit too strong. He wasn't afraid of Yi Shang at all. If you want a life-and-death battle, then so be it. It was also at this time that Lin Tian stepped out of the Lord Theological Seminary's main entrance and walked out of the Lord Theological Seminary. He stopped outside the Imperial Courtyard and looked back at Yi Shang inside the Lord Theological Seminary with a calm and indifferent expression. TSK, how bold! Lan Tianjin smirked as he clapped his hands. Yi Shang's expression didn't change, and his eyes were still cold. He also moved, walking out of the Lord Theological Seminary and out of the Lord Theological Seminary's main entrance in the blink of an eye. Boom! The shocking power of the fist was vast and mighty. Lin Tian directly made his move. The moment Yi Yinshang stepped out of the Lord Theological Seminary, he blasted out the Chaos Emperor Fist. The power of the fist turned into an indestructible fist and instantly arrived in front of Yi Yinshang. Yi Yinshang's expression changed. He didn't expect Lin Tian to make a move the moment he stepped out of the Lord Theological Seminary. It was too late to dodge, so he could only cross his arms in front of his chest to block. In the next moment, Lin Tian's fist directly landed on his arms. Bang! With a boom, Yi Yinshang was immediately sent back into the Lord Theological Seminary. Drops of blood floated in the air. For a moment, all the disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were stunned. Even the peak True Divinity Realm Elder of the Imperial Courtyard was a little stunned. They were all like Yi Yinshang. They didn't expect Lin Tian to make a move the moment Yi Yinshang stepped out of the Imperial Courtyard. This was simply not the slightest bit of the demeanor of an expert. Ha ha, Kid Lin, that was a beautiful punch. Whooshing Crocodile couldn't help but laugh. This is a good start. Boom! Monstrous, immortal powers surged. Within the Imperial Courtyard, Yi Yinshang steadied himself and looked at Lin Tian outside the Lord Theological Seminary. His gaze turned cold. Shang, you were sent flying by Lin Tian as soon as you stepped out of the door. Do you feel embarrassed? Don't you feel depressed? Do you feel angry? Come, share your feelings with everyone. Chapter 1764. Yi Yinshang was at the half-step true immortal realm, not far from the true immortal realm. He was ranked 9th on the 100 Immortals ranking and was extremely powerful. Hearing the White Tiger asking him 3 questions in a row to share his feelings of being blown away by Lin Tian, his eyes instantly turned cold as he coldly glanced at the White Tiger. Io, staring at your Lord Tiger? Do you want to kill this Lord Tiger fast enough? It's fine. Come. This Lord Tiger will give you a chance. Just stand here and don't move. The White Tiger stood up like a human, hooking its tiger claws at Yi Yinshang. Around them, the disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were speechless. This guy was standing in the Lord Theological Seminary and asking Yi Yinshang to kill him. Could Yi Yinshang kill him? So despicable. Someone whispered. Yi Yinshang's face turned even colder. He glanced at the White Tiger emotionlessly, then stepped out of the Lord Theological Seminary, leaving the Imperial Courtyard in one step. At the same time, as soon as he stepped out of the Imperial Courtyard, he made his move. He waved his right hand, and a large amount of dark light turned into a dark rain, piercing toward Lin Tian. The surrounding space was completely corroded by this dark rain. Lin Tian didn't dodge. His movement was simple, and he directly met it with a punch. With a boom, the two collided in the blink of an eye, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Yi Yinshang's eyes were cold. After the dark rain, his entire body turned into a black fog that filled the sky. As if he was teleporting, he waved a large amount of dark light from different corners, pressing toward Lin Tian with the power to destroy all things. Lin Tian moved, his body like lightning, bringing along strands of lightning. He waved the sky-high sword scripture, and with a wave of his hand, sword light filled the sky. Swish, swish, swish. The dark light and the sky-high sword light collided like rain, letting out a sizzling sound. In the blink of an eye, the two were shattered. Yi Yinshang directly raised a layer of yin fog. Within it, pairs of blood-red eyes lit up, as if they could devour all living things in the world. Terrifying roars rang out from within the yin fog, directly enveloping Lin Tian. Such a scene was slightly terrifying. It was like the boundless evil spirits that were sealed within the eternal purgatory had emerged into the world, and they seemed as if they intended to devour everything. The temperature of this space suddenly dropped greatly, and it was ghastly and oppressive. This attack, inside the Lord Theological Seminary, the Imperial Courtyard disciples couldn't help but feel their hearts palpitate. Such a scene was truly a little frightening. Many people felt as if they were about to shatter in the next moment. This Yi Shang is indeed terrifying. Whooshing crocodile frown. Even the peaked true God Elder of the Imperial Academy couldn't help but be shocked by the power of this attack. It was hard to imagine that this was an attack from a half-step true god. Lin Tian faced this technique and naturally felt how terrifying it was. However, he was not afraid in the slightest. Buzz! He raised the four-symbol seal divine technique. The silver divine diagram was dozens of feet in diameter, intertwining with the power of the seal and the power of the demon. It went straight towards Yi Shang's divine ability. The two collided and immediately set off a shocking storm in this place, shattering everything in the surroundings. Pieces of gravel flew into the sky. Then, with two whooshing sounds, the two charged at each other at close range. They clashed again and again, using all kinds of divine abilities and secret techniques. Some strength is beyond my expectations. Yi Shang's eyes were cold. You're not bad either, but this kind of strength is within my expectations. Lin Tian was very calm. They were talking like this, but their hands didn't stop moving. All kinds of divine abilities and precious techniques were still colliding. Yi Shang's expression was cold. Unparalleled Yin light intertwined, and the entire sky trembled. The Yin light seemed to want to destroy the world. Lin Tian was fearless and directly stepped forward. All kinds of divine light surrounded him, and he waved the Chaos Emperor fist to attack his opponent. It was as if the god of war had been reborn. His battle aura shook the sky, and a simple punch seemed to be able to destroy everything. Boom! 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 Time and time again, the space around them shook violently, and everything collapsed. The two's battle was earth-shattering. All kinds of light intertwined around them. In the blink of an eye, they had fought for more than half an hour. Inch by inch, the ground outside the Lord Theological Seminary couldn't stop crumbling. Bang! Lin Tian waved his fist, and it landed on Yi Shang's chest. With a poof, Yi Shang's chest was penetrated, and a large amount of blood spilled out. However, at the same time, Yi Shang's claw with murderous Yin light landed on Lin Tian's shoulder. It directly tore off a large piece of flesh, and Lin Tian's entire arm was almost torn off. Lin Tian's eyes were cold, and there was no joy or sorrow. The nirvana of the sun technique operated on its own, and his injuries healed in the blink of an eye. He once again stepped toward his opponent and directly waved the Chaos Emperor fist at his opponent. With a boom, as his fist pressed down, the space around them immediately collapsed, and the sky was filled with Yin fog. Yi Shang also waved his fist, and a large amount of Yin fog was wrapped around the tip of his fist. It was mixed with endless corrosive power, and he swung it down toward Lin Tian's head. In the blink of an eye, the two collided, and the sky was filled with divine radiance. Behind Lin Tian, all kinds of divine manifestations rose, and at this moment, supported by the divine manifestation technique. Every divine manifestation contained an extremely shocking aura, as if it could suppress everything. Yi Shang's expression didn't change. The Yin light condensed and turned into ghosts. All kinds of mysterious runes intertwined, and all of them were intertwined with an extremely shocking power. Boom! 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 The two collided again, and all kinds of divine radiance shot out, and the space around them was annihilated again and again. In the end, the two fought from the periphery of the Lord Theological Seminary to a stretch of desolate mountains not far away. In the blink of an eye, several mountains were annihilated by the collision between the two of them. All kinds of divine radiance surged, and all kinds of divine abilities and secret techniques were revealed, and it was extremely terrifying. These two people, really, in the Lord Theological Seminary, the group of disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were even more frightened, and many of them couldn't help but tremble. The collision between Lin Tian and Yi Shang was really too shocking and terrifying to the extreme. Just the aftershocks of the divine might intertwine from the collision between them made everyone's hearts tremble. The expression of the peak stage true god of the Imperial Academy also changed again. Lin Tian and Yi Yinshang were both in the Celestial King tier, but they could have such battle prowess, which really shocked him. Back then, when he was at this level, when did he have such terrifying strength? Boom! 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 In the blink of an eye, another hour passed. In the desolate mountains outside the Lord Theological Seminary, the collision between Lin Tian and Yi Yinshang had almost reached a white-hot stage. Divine radiance and Yin light collided again and again, and the two of them injured each other again and again. Both of them were injured, and the battle situation was equally matched. Enough! A cold voice rang out, and Yi Yinshang's eyes were cold. With a boom, a vast sea full of blood surged up behind him, intertwined with a terrifying blood energy. It was as if it was formed by the blood of a celestial emperor expert after he died, and it seemed as if it could completely melt everything in the world. Dead Spirit Blood Sea. Chapter 1765. The sea of blood intertwined and surged in all directions. It was surrounded by a boundless blood aura, causing the surrounding space to be annihilated inch by inch. The terrifying corrosive power shook the sky. Yi Yinshang is said to have the dead spirit bloodline. This kind of bloodline is extremely powerful and possesses terrifying strength. I remember that this is the innate ability of the dead spirit bloodline. It can destroy and corrode everything. That's right, it's the innate ability of the dead spirit bloodline. It's terrifying. It's said that the last person with the dead spirit bloodline appeared in the late desolate antiquity era. He was a god emperor. In the past, he used this innate ability to suppress the world. Not many people could be his opponent. In the Lord Theological Seminary, the disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary felt their hearts palpitate. Even though they were far away from where Lin Tian and Yi Yinshang were fighting, they couldn't help but retreat at this time. Many of their faces turned pale. The innate ability of Yi Yinshang was too terrifying. Even the peak true God Realm Elder of the Imperial Courtyard had a slight change in expression. Obviously, he was greatly shocked by this technique. Lan Tianjin, the young supreme in the top 10 of the 100 Immortals ranking, narrowed his eyes slightly. Obviously, he was also moved by the power of this technique. Rumble! The void rumbled as if thunder was descending. As Yi Yinshang's blood sea of dead spirits pressed down, the mountains in all directions instantly collapsed. This blood sea was completely formed by light. It wasn't real blood water, but it was incomparably real. In the blink of an eye, it pressed down on Lin Tian's head, completely sealing the space around Lin Tian. He's been enveloped by the blood sea of dead spirits. It's over. Once enveloped by the blood sea, no matter who it is in the same realm, their divine power and ability to move will be frozen in an instant. They can only become targets for slaughter. That Lin Tian, this time, he's dead for sure. Yi Yinshang, who has the dead spirit bloodline, is stronger after all. Once he uses his innate ability, not many people in the same realm can withstand it. A person who just bloomed not long ago is going to disappear just like that. What a pity! What kind of grudge does he have with Yi Yinshang? Many Imperial Courtyard disciples couldn't help but shake their heads as they watched Lin Tian being enveloped by the blood sea. With a rumbling sound, the blood sea of dead spirits finally pressed down on Lin Tian's head. Die! Yi Yinshang was like the Yin Emperor. He coldly suppressed the sea of blood and completely submerged Lin Tian. The entire space was annihilated. Dead. In the Lord Theological Seminary, the disciples shook their heads. However, in the next moment, the blood sea of dead spirits trembled, and a figure stepped out. It was Lin Tian. He was unscathed, and in a flash, he arrived in front of Yi Yinshang and threw out a punch. Dong! A violent explosion shook the sky. He had unleashed the primal Chaos Emperor Fist, and with a single punch, Yi Yinshang, who was unable to dodge in time, was sent flying thousands of feet away. He then exploded in the distance with a poof. At the same time, the blood sea of dead spirits collapsed as well. How is this possible? What would happen? Am I hallucinating? Inside the Emperor God Academy, the group of disciples from the imperial courtyard were dumbfounded. Yi Yinshang had used his terrifying innate ability, the undead spirit blood sea, to trap Lin Tian within. However, Lin Tian was completely unharmed, and he directly passed through the undead spirit blood sea, blasting Yi Yinshang into smithereens. The disciples from the imperial courtyard couldn't believe their eyes. The expression of the peak true god realm elder of the imperial courtyard also changed. He couldn't understand the scene. Lin Tian was clearly enveloped by the blood sea of dead spirits, but in the end, he was unscathed. In his mind, this should be impossible. But now, something that should have been impossible was actually happening right in front of his eyes. Lan Tianjin frowned for the first time. His gaze fell on Lin Tian, and there was a flash of light in his eyes. Interesting. At this moment, in the Lord Theological Seminary, only Bai Ziqi's group wasn't surprised at all. Even the Wuxing crocodile sneered at Yi Yinshang. Of course, Ling Yin chuckled. Lin Tian had the reincarnation physique, the strongest imperial physique. The other 11 imperial physiques, imperial territories, and other powerful bloodlines' innate abilities were useless against Lin Tian. With a boom, the evil Yin god energy surged. In the distance, in the ancient desolate mountain range, Yi Yinshang reformed his body. His expression was a little ugly. His eyes stared straight at Lin Tian, as if there were two deadly swords inside. His innate ability had clearly enveloped Lin Tian. That was a power that could easily kill an early-stage true god expert, but Lin Tian was unscathed. Lin Tian looked at Yi Yinshang and revealed a cold smile. How is it? Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Yi Yinshang's expression became even uglier. The killing intent in his eyes became thicker, and his black hair danced wildly. I'll chop off your head, he said emotionlessly. He took a step forward and turned into a beam of destructive Yin light, charging towards Lin Tian. A black Yin river appeared, intertwining with an extremely terrifying aura. It pressed towards Lin Tian, forming a vision in his sea of consciousness. Lin Tian snorted, and the yin-yang lotus-y vision was propped up. The power of yin and yang intertwined, forming a sky full of lotus swords to go against Yi Yinshang's vision and his sea of consciousness. The two of them clashed, and they were evenly matched. Their visions and their sea of consciousness shattered together in the blink of an eye, exploding into the sky. Swoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. Lin Tian took a step forward, and his speed was extremely fast. In an instant, he was in front of Yi Yinshang, and the reincarnation diagram of the imperial territory was propped up immediately. Why don't you try its power? He said, and directly suppressed the reincarnation diagram. Once the reincarnation diagram appeared, the sacred and majestic aura was vast and mighty, as if it was going to suppress and annihilate everything. It was so powerful that it made one's heart palpitate. Yi Yinshang naturally felt the terror of the reincarnation diagram. At this time, it was already impossible for him to dodge, and he could only support a great technique to block it. However, the reincarnation diagram was Lin Tian's imperial territory, so it was naturally not something that a simple divine ability could block. In the blink of an eye, it suppressed Yi Yinshang's great technique, and then steadily landed on Yi Yinshang's body. Poof! Blood splattered everywhere, and Yi Yinshang immediately exploded again, dyeing the void red. However, his divine soul was not destroyed, and in the blink of an eye, he reformed his physical body, and his eyes stared coldly at Lin Tian. A faint light flashed in Lin Tian's eyes. The reincarnation diagram of the imperial territory that he had just displayed could even injure a true god. However, although Yi Yinshang's physical body was shattered, he reformed in the blink of an eye, and his aura did not decrease in the slightest. It was obvious that his injuries were not serious. This made him have to admit that this Yi Yinshang was really strong. He lightly snorted and then propped up the reincarnation diagram, and once again pressed down on his opponent, arriving in front of him in the blink of an eye. With a rumbling sound, as the reincarnation diagram pressed down, the surrounding space was directly frozen, and a destructive force directly pressed down on Yi Yinshang. Yi Yinshang's eyes were cold. With a boom, the black Yin River in his sea of consciousness was propped up by him, and at the same time, a dozen other divine abilities and precious techniques were displayed, all of which blasted towards Lin Tian. Chapter 1766. The Black River interweaved with terrifying divine might, and when combined with a dozen other secret arts, its power was frightening. In the next moment, Lin Tian's reincarnation diagram collided with Yi Yinshang's Black River and a dozen other arts. The void immediately collapsed, filling the sky with radiance. Whoosh! With a whoosh, Lin Tian stepped forward, passing through the radiance and appearing next to Yi Yinshang in the blink of an eye. He raised his hand and unleashed a chaos Empyrean fist. Phantoms of a true dragon and a divine phoenix interweaved, pressing down on Yi Yinshang from two directions. Yi Yinshang didn't dodge, instead using the Yin terminating palm to meet the attack. Black claw marks filled the sky, chilling and threatening. The two collided again, causing the sky to tremble. Then, with a sizzling sound, the two arts shattered together. Again, said Lin Tian. With a boom, the reincarnation diagram rose up again. This time, he used the Thunder Immortal Tao and the Nature Immortal Tao at the same time. They intertwined to form a reincarnation diagram of the Immortal Tao and crashed down on his opponent. With the appearance of the Immortal Tao reincarnation diagram, an even more majestic aura surged. The sky and earth began to tremble, as if the entire world was being suppressed by the reincarnation diagram. So scary. In the Lord Theological Seminary, many disciples couldn't help but tremble at the sight. They were shocked by the aura of the Immortal Tao reincarnation diagram and couldn't even speak properly for a while. The peak true divinity Imperial Court Elder and the top 10 on the ranking of 100 immortals, Lan Tianjin, couldn't help but be moved because the Immortal Tao reincarnation diagram Lin Tian raised was truly terrifying. How interesting! Lan Tianjin's lips curled up slightly. Divine might surged, and the Immortal Tao reincarnation diagram covered the sky. The entire world trembled from the ripples it emitted. Yi Yinshang's eyes flashed, but his expression didn't change at all. Eerie light surrounded him, directly supporting the blood sea of dead spirits, interweaving with a murderous aura in the sky. Is he going to face the attack with that innate ability? That won't do. I don't know why, but that art doesn't seem to work on Lin Tian. Many Imperial Courtyard disciples were confused. It was also at this time that a black Yin River appeared outside of Yi Yinshang's body after the bloody sea of dead spirits. It supported the strange phenomenon in his sea of consciousness and then merged with the bloody sea of dead spirits in a blink of an eye. All of a sudden, a murderous and cold aura surged, as if wanting to freeze and devour everything. A black and red wave appeared, greeting Lin Tian's Immortal Tao reincarnation diagram. In the blink of an eye, the two collided. The surrounding space completely collapsed, and spatial turbulence poured out wantonly. In the next moment, the Immortal Tao reincarnation diagram and the black and red waves exploded at the same time. Lin Tian and Yi Yinshang both staggered backwards, blood flowing from the corners of their mouths. They were evenly matched. Will it be effective against Lin Tian after fusing the sea of consciousness anomaly with the innate divine ability and becoming stronger? Many Imperial Courtyard disciples were moved. Lin Tian himself was not surprised at all. Back then, the sun physically Gu Huang couldn't do anything to him with the sun sea of King's territory. It was like a decoration to him. However, later on, after the other party fused the sun sea and the image of his sea of consciousness, it could pose a threat to him. Boom! Right at this moment, divine might surged. On the other side, the dark light in Yi Yinshang's eyes intertwined. He propped up a seal, which was densely intertwined with divine patterns. In an instant, the pressure of a celestial king surged, annihilating the void in all directions. This was a peak-level celestial king weapon. It was very oppressive. After being propped up by Yi Inshang, it directly pressed down on Lin Tian. Moreover, at the same time, rays of Tao appeared outside Yi Inshang's body. They were all immortal Tao, and there was more than one kind. There were no less than a dozen, and together with the peak-level celestial king weapon, they pressed down on Lin Tian together like a sea of Tao. Lin Tian humphed. With a move of his right hand, a battle spear appeared out of thin air. This was the peak-level celestial king weapon that an old drunkard had given him. Kung. He brandished the battle spear in his hand, releasing an ear-piercing rumbling noise, using it to activate the heaven-conquering sword scripture, directly piercing through the seal that pressed down on Yi Inshang. Moreover, the lightning immortal Tao and nature immortal Tao were propped up by him together, coordinating with the 5 lightning heaven-shaking art and dragon burial scripture, interweaving into a sky full of lightning and dragon patterns, pressing down together. In the blink of an eye, the precious seal and battle spear collided. Peak-level celestial king might shook, sending out waves of destructive divine radiance. At the same time, the dozen or so immortal Tao laws propped up by Yi Inshang collided with the lightning immortal Tao and nature immortal Tao Lin Tian activated, as well as the 5 lightning heaven-shaking art and dragon burial scripture, directly producing a storm of destruction, engulfing the surrounding air, the ground directly sinking several zhang deep. Swish! Swish! 2 sounds tore through the air. Lin Tian and Yi Inshang moved at the same time, rushing at each other before the storm of destruction dispersed. One wielded a battle spear to hack out, the other wielded a precious seal to suppress. From time to time, their fists and feet would clash. Hong! 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 All kinds of divine radiance and dark light surged. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had collided for a full hour. Both of them had exhausted more than half of their divine power, and the waves of divine power they emitted were much weaker than when they were at their peak. The battle had reached its climax. It was also at this moment that a black figure intertwined with a bloody aura rushed over from afar. It was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye it was close to Lin Tian. A faint divine might intertwine beside him, and it was an old man in a black robe. Lin Tian retreated and dodged. At the same time, his eyes narrowed slightly. "It's you." At the same time, in the Lord Theological Seminary, Wuxing Crocodile and Little Taichu couldn't help but be moved. That old fart, after so many years, he's here again? And it seems he's much stronger than before. Wuxing Crocodile frowned. This old man in a black robe was the original owner of the battle spear in Lin Tian's hand. Previously, an old drunkard had almost destroyed his body and soul with a wisp of divine consciousness. Unexpectedly, he appeared again now. In the Lord Theological Seminary, the other disciples were moved. He's here for that Lin Tian? He has a grudge against that Lin Tian? Hong! Outside the Lord Theological Seminary, the old man in a black robe swung his claw at the air. He attacked again, and the sky was filled with light and shadows, and a dark aura surged. I really have to thank that person back then. I was oppressed by him, and after so many years, I broke through the barrier and reached the true God realm. His voice was cold as he looked at Lin Tian. You're not bad. After so many years, you've actually reached such a height. However, it's no big deal. You're still just an ant. As he spoke, the aura he exuded became even more oppressive. His divine might became even stronger, solidifying the surroundings. A sky full of light and shadows pressed down on Lin Tian from all directions. His cultivation level was no less than that of a middle-stage true god. Chapter 1767. All kinds of lights and shadows intertwined with divine power, pressing down on Lin Tian from different directions. The fluctuations were really frightening, causing everyone in the Lord Theological Seminary to be moved. After all, this was the attack of a mid-stage true God expert. Yeah, Little Taichu opened its eyes wide and immediately flew out of the Lord Theological Seminary. Lin Tian's battle with Yin Shang had reached its climax, and he didn't have much divine power left. It was very dangerous for him to face the black-robed old man who had reached the mid-stage true god. Lin Tian tilted his head and stretched out his hand to Little Taichu. Little Taichu naturally knew that Lin Tian didn't want it to go over. It immediately stopped, a little worried and a little doubtful. Rumbling, all kinds of lights and shadows intertwined with evil aura surged, and the aura they intertwined with was powerful and frightening. Lin Tian used the yin-yang steps, leaving afterimages all over the sky as he dodged these killing lights and shadows one by one. Your speed is not bad, but it's useless. The black-robed old man's voice was cold. With a boom, the aura of a mid-stage true god was fully revealed, causing the surroundings to tremble and solidify everything. Hand over the primitive emperor's token, and tell me your master's whereabouts. This old man will let you die a quick death, and then send your master down to accompany you. Lin Tianling laughed. Back then, the old man's divine sense almost destroyed you. You're just a little stronger than before, and you dare to talk nonsense about killing my master? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? As soon as he said this, the black-robed old man's expression froze, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. An old drunkard back then was just a divine sense. So what? This old man was far from recovering to his peak state back then, and now, this old man is even stronger, enough to kill his real body. The shock in his eyes dissipated in the blink of an eye, and became indifferent once again. Moreover, it was obviously colder. Clearly, he was very uncomfortable when he thought of how an old drunkard almost destroyed his body and soul with just a strand of divine sense. He looked at Lin Tianling and said coldly, Now, hand over the founding emperor's token and tell this old man the whereabouts of that person. The founding emperor's token is no longer with me, and I don't know where my master is. Lin Tianling smiled. Besides, you don't need to know about the founding emperor's token and my master's whereabouts. This time, you will rest in this place forever. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a boom. Formation runes appeared in the void one after another, and they immediately interweave with an extremely terrifying killing intent. The entire sky and earth began to shake because of this. Killing array? This was carved by him. He even knew such a killing array? This murderous aura, this is so strong. When did he carve it? Inside the Lord Theological Seminary, the expressions of the cultivators changed. Even the peak true god realm Imperial Dean Elder, Lan Tianjun, and Yi Yinshang, who was fighting with Lin Tian, were moved. Because at this time, the killing intent interweaved in the void was really too terrifying. Universe-suppressing origin killing array. This guy carved it during the battle with Yi Yinshang. Ling Yun and the others also changed their expressions. Boom! Outside the Lord Theological Seminary, the killing runes surged, interweaving with strands of terrifying killing light and clanging like a killing sword. The black-robed old man happened to be shrouded by the endless killing runes, and he immediately trembled. Naturally, he could feel the terror of these killing runes. In an instant, an intense threat rose. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. With a move of his mind, the killing runes surged, and rays of killing light shot directly toward the black-robed old man. Just like what Ling Yun and the others had guessed, this heaven and earth suppressing Yuan killing formation was indeed carved by him during the battle with Yin Shang. It wasn't even a corner of it, and the time it could last was also very limited. However, it was enough to threaten intermediate true god experts. After all, he had carved it with the cultivation base of an intermediate immortal king. Originally, he had secretly carved these killing runes to kill Yi Yinshang at the last moment. He did not expect this black-robed old man to rush here at this time, and his opponent had already surpassed the peak and reached the mid-stage true god realm. With his current state, he was definitely not a match for a mid-stage true god realm expert. Therefore, he directly supported the killing array that he had secretly engraved to kill Yi Yinshang. In an instant, the killing runes enveloped the black-robed old man. Clang, clang, clang. The universe-suppressing origin-killing formation was a divine king-level killing formation. At this time, the concentrated killing light seemed to have come from an eternally unknown place. Tiny black holes surged out at the first instant. Along with the concentrated killing light, they pressed down on the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man was no longer as indifferent as before. He immediately became shocked and angry. After a roar, he supported a series of powerful and frightening magical powers and faced the Chinquin killing light that came from all directions. However, this was a divine king realm killing array. Even though Lin Tian had only engraved it during the battle with Yi Shang and did not even use a corner of it, its power was extremely terrifying. It immediately shattered the divine abilities that he had supported. Pooh! 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 Rays of killing light pierced through the black-robed old man in the blink of an eye. His entire body exploded in an instant. This so terrifying. In the Lord Theological Seminary, the hearts of the disciples palpitated. A mid-stage true God realm expert was shattered by the killing light of the killing array in the blink of an eye. Boom! Divine power surged. The black-robed old man's divine soul was not destroyed. With a furious roar, he reformed his body in the blink of an eye. Damn it! At this time, he stared at Lin Tian, extremely angry. It was hurriedly engraved during the battle. It has a total of 2 chances to produce killing light. Next time, I'll end you. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. As his words fell, the killing patterns in the surroundings trembled. A second wave of killing light appeared, mercilessly pressing down on the black-robed old man. Even if the black-robed old man supported his divine Tao law, it was useless. He was directly hit into a bloody mist again. At the same time, in the void around them, strands of killing patterns dimmed and then slowly disappeared. Boom! In the bloody mist, divine power surged. The black-robed old man was not dead. His divine soul still existed, but there were many more cracks. He looked at Lin Tian, and the shock and anger on his face grew stronger. Terrifying divine power intertwined. His divine soul shone, and his body slowly reformed. That killing formation, his trump card is gone. Now, in the Lord Theological Seminary, many people looked at Lin Tian and could not help but frown. That killing formation could not hold on after 2 attacks. Now, what could Lin Tian use to stop the black-robed old man? The black-robed old man reformed his body and pressed toward Lin Tian step by step. There was an extremely cruel killing intent intertwined in his eyes. He had reached the middle stage of true God, but he was continuously injured by Lin Tian in front of everyone. It was really embarrassing. An ant will always be an ant. The 2 chances to kill have been used up. Now, this old man wants to see how you can struggle, he said coldly. At this moment, he only had eyes for Lin Tian. He only wanted to kill Lin Tian with the cruelest method in the world. Seeing this person walk over, the corners of Lin Tian's mouth could not help but curl up. I said there were only 2 chances to kill. Do you really think there are only 2 chances? He sneered. Actually, it has 3 chances to kill. However, this is the last chance. I want to leave more time to prepare and let it become the strongest. Now, I'll send you on your way. Chapter 1768. The 100-meter-long holy sword of slaughter exuded a terrifying aura that seemed capable of annihilating everything in its path. The black-robed elder trembled in shock and anger. You lied to me? So what if I did? Didn't anyone teach you not to believe your enemies? What have you done with all your years of life? Lin Tiandao. The universe-killing formation he had inscribed here was relatively simple, far from a corner. Moreover, it could only last for a short period of time. After all, he was far from mastering this killing formation. Being able to inscribe such a large formation during his battle with Yi Shang was already his limit. He could only use it 3 times. The reason why he had told the black-robed old man that he would only have 2 chances to attack and that the runes would disappear after the 2 attacks was to numb his opponent. The runes did not truly disappear, but instead, they were hidden in the void. He was secretly using the heavenly one-soul technique, causing the runes to fuse together in the void, so that the third attack would be able to reach its maximum potential. You! The black-robed elder's eyes were about to spit fire. Without any hesitation, he fled into the distance. Because at this moment, he could clearly sense just how terrifying that 100-meter-long holy sword of slaughter was. In his current state, even if he didn't die from that attack, he wouldn't be far from it. With a whoosh, he was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he was already far away. "You can't leave," Lin Tiandao calmly said. As soon as he finished speaking, the 100-meter-long holy sword of slaughter slashed down with a clang. The killing light extended for thousands of meters, splitting the sky and causing the earth in that direction to collapse. The destructive aura was terrifying to the extreme. Ah! With a miserable scream, the black-robed elder was instantly pulverized. A mist of blood floated in the air. After a few breaths of time, a streak of light shot out of the bloody mist and flew into the distance. That old man, he's still not dead? His soul is still intact? In the Lord Theological Seminary, the whooshing crocodile was shaken. Lin Tian slash just now was extremely terrifying. It originally thought that it would be able to kill the black-robed old man, but it did not expect that the black-robed old man was still alive. Outside the Lord Theological Seminary, in the mountain range, Lin Tian directly stepped out. Using the duality steps and the 5 heaven-shaking thunders incantation, one step covered an endless distance. In the blink of an eye, he intercepted the black-robed old man. Then, with a wave of his right hand, a deification talisman appeared in his hand. It intertwined with the power to destroy one's spirit and soul, and mercilessly pressed down. The black-robed old man was only left with a wisp of his divine soul. Moreover, his divine soul was already full of cracks, and his soul energy was very weak. Facing Lin Tian's soul-transforming talisman, he felt the power of the soul-transforming talisman. He immediately trembled violently and shouted in horror, "Stop! Don't kill me! I can tell you the secret of the primitive emperor token. Once you know about it, you will have unparalleled help." "No need," Lin Tian said calmly. The so-called secret of the primitive emperor token. He could guess that it was the endless, powerful, ferocious beasts in the demon subduing hall inside the primitive emperor token. He had already discovered this matter long ago. Why would he need to tell Fang Yin about it? Moreover, the primitive emperor token had already been taken away by the old hoodlum. "Disappear." He said 2 more words, and the deification talisman in his hand became even more terrifying. In the next moment, it fell on the black-robed old man. "No!" The black-robed old man screamed. In the next moment, his divine soul trembled and immediately collapsed, completely disappearing from the world. For a moment, the surroundings became a lot quieter. Clearly the battle with Yi Yinshang had consumed more than half of his divine power, but he could still kill a mid-stage true god expert. This is simply cheating a god. In the Lord Theological Seminary, the imperial courtyard disciples could not help but tremble. If that black-robed old man did not suddenly appear, those killing runes would have targeted Yi Yinshang. If that was the case, wouldn't Yi Yinshang be killed? That's not necessarily true. Although Yi Yinshang's current state is not as good as a mid-stage true god expert, that person has the dead spirit bloodline after all. He is ranked 9th on the ranking of 100 immortals, and is the next realm lord of the dead spirit world. How could such a person not have some special life-saving methods? Even if he was trapped by those killing runes, he might not necessarily be killed. Oh, that's true. Many people discussed. On the other side, whooshing crocodile watched and clicked his tongue, finally dealt with that old man. The black-robed old man had chased after them several times. Now that he was killed by Lin Tian, it could be said that this hidden danger was completely solved. Boom! At this moment, vast divine energy surged. In the mountains outside the Lord Theological Seminary, Yi Yinshang made his move. The boundless immortal Tao of Yin, supported by a peak immortal king level seal, appeared in front of Lin Tian in the blink of an eye and directly suppressed Lin Tian. This power was not weak. It immediately sealed the surrounding space, enveloping Lin Tian in a destructive domain. Lin Tian's expression did not change. Although he was suppressing the black-robed old man with the universe-killing formation, he was always on guard against Yi Yinshang. Now that he saw the other party attacking, he was naturally prepared. He activated the 5 heaven-shaking thunders art, and a large number of lightning bolts fell from the sky, immediately crushing the surrounding void inch by inch. Rolling thunder resounded in all directions. This lightning was purple. It was the 3rd level of the 5 heaven-shaking thunders art. It contained the power of extreme yang and was incomparably domineering. Moreover, it also contained the power of his immortal Tao of lightning, which made this lightning even more terrifying. Chi! 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 These lightning bolts collided with Yi Yinshang's immortal Tao of Yin. In the blink of an eye, both of them shattered. At the same time, he waved the battle spear in his hand and activated the High Heaven Sword Scripture, directly facing Yi Yinshang's seal. When the two collided, an earth-shattering rumble was heard. Crack! 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 The surrounding void started to crumble. In the next moment, the two of them truly collided once more. All sorts of divine abilities and secret techniques were executed successively. Immortal Tao laws surged while divine energy and gloomy glows interweaved together, and they struck to the point the sky shook and the ground collapsed. Such a scene was extremely shocking. Buzz! Suddenly, the surrounding space shook, and an incomparably terrifying aura suddenly spread out. A scroll rushed out of Yi Yinshang's body. It was covered with all kinds of strange divine runes, as if it could destroy everything. This is the 10,000 Slaughter, forbidden artifact. The previous realm, Lord of the World of Souls, obtained it in an ancient ruin. There are a total of 3 scrolls, each of which can only be used once. It has the power to kill an early-stage heavenly god. This, he gave one to Yi Yinshang. The disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were shocked. Even the peak true god realm elder of the Imperial College trembled. He could clearly feel the terror of Yi Yinshang's scroll. He couldn't help but feel an instinctive fear. At the same time, Bai Ziki, Fanning Xiong, Wuxing Crocodile, and Ling Yun's expressions changed. They could clearly feel how terrifying Yi Yinshang's scroll was. Chapter 1769. The ancient scroll exuded a primordial aura, and it was covered with ancient and mysterious runes. Its aura was grand and intimidating. He has the bloodline of the dead spirits, ranks 9th on the ranking of 100 immortals, and is also the next realm lord of the world of souls. He's indeed powerful. Even if he was trapped by the killing runes earlier, he'll still be fine. That Lin Tian doesn't have the killing formation as his trump card. In his current state, I'm afraid many cultivators were shocked. Lin Tian's expression changed immediately. This scroll that was covered in ancient runes made him feel a huge threat. Disappear, Yi Yinshang said coldly and pressed down on Lin Tian. As soon as he finished speaking, the ancient scroll pressed down on Lin Tian. The void in all directions froze immediately, leaving Lin Tian with no way to retreat. Boom! In the next moment, the ancient scroll exploded and drowned everything in the space. The sky and the earth collapsed together, and rolling magma soared into the sky. The destructive aura caused everyone to tremble. For a moment, the light mist drowned everything in the space. Is that Lin Tian finished? Someone stared at that place. He should be finished. There's no way he can survive that attack in his current state. A cultivator next to him said. At this moment, with a clang, a golden sword ray shot out from the light mist at an extremely fast speed. Poof! Blood splattered everywhere. Yi Yinshang's chest was penetrated. The light mist dissipated, revealing Lin Tian's figure. His body was covered in blood, and he was protected by a broken pagoda. Strands of purple light intertwined with each other. It was vast and majestic. He's still alive? It didn't die from that attack? He survived? This. The cultivators were shocked. Even the peak true god elder of the Lord Theological Seminary and Lan Tianjin were shocked. That scroll covered in ancient runes could even destroy an early-stage heavenly god. However, Lin Tian had managed to survive after exhausting more than half of his divine power. Was it the broken pagoda that protected him and blocked the 10,000 slaughter forbidden weapon? That broken pagoda. Wait, that aura is primordial mother chi. It seems like it really is primordial origin chi. Moreover, it is extremely pure. It seems like only the legendary primordial heavenly crystal can emit such pure primordial origin chi. His broken pagoda. Could it be? It's forged from grand mist heavenly crystal? Looking at the damaged purple pagoda protecting Lin Tian, the expressions of all the cultivators changed again. Yes, that's right. It's forged using grand mist heavenly crystals. There's no mistake about it. The peak-level true God Elder of the Lord Theological Seminary spoke. His eyes flickered with shock. At his level, it was impossible for him to be mistaken. Outside the Lord Theological Seminary, the mountain range where the battle had taken place was almost completely destroyed. Yi Yinshang had just healed the wound on his chest. Looking at the still alive Lin Tian and the damaged purple pagoda protecting Lin Tian, his eyes narrowed involuntarily. Naturally, he could tell that the damaged pagoda around Lin Tian was forged from grand mist heavenly crystal. On the other side, Lin Tian was drenched in blood. He gasped for breath and quickly circulated the sun's nirvana technique to heal his wounds. At the same time, the damaged purple pagoda around his body also quickly gathered and became whole. This was his immortal Emperor Pagoda. Just now, when Yi Yinshang had attacked with the 10,000 slaughter forbidden weapon, the destructive aura was too strong. He could only summon the immortal Emperor Pagoda, a divine weapon forged from grand mist heavenly crystal, to protect himself. Even so, the scroll had still severely injured him. The immortal Emperor Pagoda was also damaged. Whoosh! Suddenly, there was a piercing sound. A figure rushed out from the Lord Theological Seminary and went straight for Lin Tian. It was Lan Tianjin, who was ranked 10th on the ranking of 100 immortals. This pagoda, I want it. With a cold voice, Lan Tianjin appeared in front of Lin Tian in an instant and directly grabbed the immortal Emperor Pagoda. A pagoda forged from grand mist heavenly crystal was the embryo of a peak-level Emperor divine weapon. It could continuously evolve. Even if it was destroyed, it could be reformed. Its value was shocking. You're courting death. In the Lord Theological Seminary, Wuxing Crocodile immediately shouted angrily. Yeah! At this time, the little Taichu moved. It rushed out, and the six-colored divine light covered the sky and pressed down on Lan Tianjin. The six-colored divine light surged violently and intertwined with unparalleled power, annihilating everything in its path. Lan Tianjin's eyes narrowed. He had heard that there was a very terrifying little beast beside Lin Tian. He also knew that this was the time to rush over. However, he did not expect it to be so strong. When the six-colored divine light pressed down on him, he immediately felt a great threat. Swoosh! He quickly retreated and dodged the six-colored divine light of the little Taichu. Then, in the next moment, he rushed towards Lin Tian again. The surging divine light rushed up, and dozens of immortal Tao nomological laws were propped up together. His body evolved into many afterimages, and he closed in on Lin Tian from all directions. He wanted to snatch Lin Tian's immortal Emperor Pagoda. The little Taichu shouted angrily. The six-colored divine fire soared into the sky and drowned all the divine light illusions that Lan Tianjin had created. Swish! 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 A series of crisp sounds were heard. Under the six-colored divine fire, all the illusions that Lan Tianjin had created were burned to ashes in an instant. His real body was forced out, and his face darkened. As strong as he was, he could not break through the little Taichu's obstruction at all. The little Taichu looked at Lan Tianjin and snorted unhappily. An even more turbulent six-colored divine fire intertwined, like a waterfall of six-colored divine fire, and flooded towards Lan Tianjin. After the primordial immortal emperor had fused the primordial immortal world into his body, after so many days, the little guy had begun to absorb the power within. His cultivation had already reached the pinnacle of the immortal king realm. With a rumble, the space in all directions was annihilated. It was burned into a mess by the six-colored divine fire. Even the spatial turbulence and chaotic light that overflowed were completely burned away. Lan Tianjin was moved. He immediately supported a series of powerful abhijnas and faced the six-colored divine fire of the little Taichu. Lin Tian watched this scene from behind. He looked at the little Taichu and smiled slightly. He looked at Lan Tianjin with a cold gaze, and then looked at Yi Shang. Continue. The little Taichu was completely capable of dealing with Lan Tianjin. At this moment, he did not care about Lan Tianjin at all. He controlled the restored immortal Emperor Pagoda and directly suppressed Yi Shang. He wanted to kill this powerful enemy here and now. However, at this moment, a black-robed man appeared on the battlefield like a ghost. He appeared in front of Lin Tian in a flash and directly grabbed at Lin Tian's immortal Emperor Pagoda. His aura was even stronger than Yi Shang's at his peak. That's Yuan Yinfu, the 8th on the ranking of 100 immortals. He's also here. The Imperial Courtyard disciples in the Lord Theological Seminary were all shocked. Chapter 1770. The black-robed man, Yuan Yunfu, came very quickly. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Lin Tian and grabbed at the immortal Emperor Pagoda. Lin Tian was shocked and immediately retreated as fast as he could. In his current state, he couldn't stop this person at all. He was very clear about this. The black-robed man stepped forward again and disappeared. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Lin Tian again. He spread his hands again, and divine light filled the sky and pressed down on Lin Tian. "Yeah!" Little Taichu shouted angrily. The six-colored divine flames surged, covering the sky and enveloping the black-robed man. However, Yuan Yinfu was too fast. Little Taichu was blocking Lan Tianjin and Yuan Yinfu at the same time. The six-colored divine flames couldn't keep up with the other party's speed. When Yuan Yinfu was really in front of Lin Tian, a majestic divine power surged and sealed the space around Lin Tian. A divine light palm appeared and pressed down on Lin Tian again. Lin Tian's eyes narrowed. At the same time, he was very cold. At this time, there was no way to avoid, so he directly swung the Chaos Emperor Fist to meet the attack. At this time, a wave of water suddenly surged in front of him. It intertwined with an astonishing force and blocked Yuan Yunfu's palm, forcing Yuan Yunfu to take a step back. In the sky, a graceful woman appeared without a sound. She was somewhat charming, and drops of mist surrounded her body. And Yao Yao, the 7th on the ranking of 100 immortals, she's here too. She blocked Yuan Yunfu's attack. What is she going to do? In the Lord Theological Seminary, the Imperial Courtyard disciples were shocked. Bai Ziki, Ling Yun, and the others were also shocked. Yuan Yunfu suddenly appeared and attacked Lin Tian after Lan Tianjin to seize the immortal Emperor Pagoda. They were all angry and worried. However, at this time, seeing this charming woman suddenly appear and clearly wanting to help Lin Tian, they couldn't help but show some doubts. Speaking of which, why does this woman look so familiar? The white tiger muttered to himself. It was rare that he didn't reveal his lecherous nature because of this woman's beauty. Beside him, Ling Yan nodded and said, "I also feel that he looks familiar." Outside the Lord Theological Seminary, Lin Tian's gaze landed on Ni Yao Yao. Just like the Ling Yun white tiger, he also felt that this woman was very familiar. However, he was certain that this was the first time he had seen her. After a pause, he suppressed the doubts in his heart and thanked the other party. "Thank you for your help, Mississippi, if not for Ni Yao Yao's sudden attack. Even if Yuan Yunfu did not snatch the immortal Emperor Pagoda, he would have been seriously injured." In the sky, Ni Yao Yao looked very charming. She blinked her eyes and landed beside Lin Tian. You're welcome. They said that I'm indebted to you. Although I'm not very sure myself, I have some vague impressions of it. Lin Tian was stunned when he heard this. Me? You owe him a favor? What did they say? He suddenly felt that there was a lot of information in Ni Yao Yao's words, and he couldn't quite understand it. Ni Yao Yao giggled and whispered into Lin Tian's ear, the disordered region, the ancient statue of the water god. Lin Tian's expression changed slightly. At this time, he looked at Ni Yao Yao again and suddenly understood why he felt that she was very familiar. Now that he thought about it, her appearance was very similar to the statue of the primogenitor of the water god palace that he had found in the disordered region. Previously, the water god palace felt that the water god had reincarnated and needed the water god statue as a guide to find the reincarnation of the water god. At that time, he had found the water god statue in the disordered region and handed it to the water god palace. Now, those people from the water god palace had really found the reincarnation of the water god. Was it this Ni Yao Yao in front of him? He was shocked. Your water. Ni Yao Yao covered his mouth and giggled. I don't have any memories of the past. Besides, I don't want to be so old. I'm the current Ni Yao Yao. You can call me Yao Yao. Lin Tian couldn't help but blush with shame. This, an ancient antique from the ancient era who had reincarnated until now, was standing in front of him. He felt a little embarrassed to call her Yao Yao directly. This was different from the situation with the old hoodlum. After all, the old hoodlum was too heartless. It was really hard for others to treat him as an elder. In the Lord Theological Seminary, a group of imperial courtyard disciples stared. Ni Yao Yao was ranked 7th on the ranking of 100 immortals. She was extremely beautiful and had many admirers. Many saints from the great clans of the 12 immortal continents had visited her before, but they were all rejected. It was very difficult for those saints to even meet her, let alone find a man who could be so intimate with her. But now, Ni Yao Yao suddenly appeared here and took the initiative to help Lin Tian block Yuan Yunfu's attack. Then, she took the initiative to get close to Lin Tian. She was so intimate with Lin Tian that it was as if they were Tao companions. Some of the cultivators who saw this had their mouths wide open. F***ck. This wicked bastard. He already has so many beautiful wives at home, but he's still picking up other women outside, and he's actually doing it behind our backs. The white tiger stared. This is too much. Ling Yun echoed. He also had an indignant look on his face. The whooshing crocodile glanced at the man and tiger with disdain. Clang! The sound of a sword rang out. Outside the Lord Theological Seminary, Yuan Yunfu's eyes were cold. He moved again and closed in on Lin Tian. Even though Ni Yao Yao was beside him, he did not retreat. He stared at the immortal Emperor Pagoda beside Lin Tian, his eyes shining brightly. The immortal Emperor Pagoda was a divine weapon forged from primordial heavenly crystals. Its value was too shocking, and its temptation was limitless. Ni Yao Yao raised her hand, and a large amount of water mist appeared naturally. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a huge wave. This formation, she's a superwoman. The white tiger's eyes widened. At this time, the wave that Ni Yao Yao created was not formed by divine light. It was completely condensed from water, and it was intertwined with the astonishing water immortal Tao. This was enough to show how powerful Ni Yao Yao was. It was very terrifying. Get out of the way! Yuan Yunfu raised his hand, and divine light slashed down, splitting the wave. His eyes were somewhat intimidating, intertwined with strength and dominance. Don't yell at me, Ni Yao Yao said. Another huge wave appeared out of thin air and pressed down on Yuan Yunfu. After a pause, she continued, Besides, no matter what, I'm still 7th on the ranking of 100 immortals, one position higher than you. Although the difference in combat strength is not very big, overall, you're not as good as me. Her words were very honest, and it made Yuan Yunfu's eyes even colder. After all, although he was indeed behind Ni Yao Yao on the ranking of 100 immortals, he still felt very uncomfortable when Ni Yao Yao said that he was not as good as a woman in front of everyone. The divine power intertwined outside his body became stronger, and it turned into a heavenly sword that slashed down directly. Yao Yao curled her lips and raised her delicate hand. Waves of water rolled out, almost turning the place into a vast ocean. The momentum was not very terrifying, but it gave people a feeling of grandeur. Seeing this scene, Lin Tian thought to himself that Yao Yao was indeed the reincarnation of an ancient water god. Her ability to control water was really shocking. Thanks. He paused and thanked Yao Yao. Then he stared at Yi Shang, who was in another position, and directly pressed down on him with the immortal Emperor Pagoda. Continue. Chapter 1771. Little Taichu blocked Lan Tianjin, who was ranked 10th on the ranking of 100 immortals, while Yao Yao blocked Yuan Yunfu, who was ranked 8th on the ranking of 100 immortals. At this time, he didn't need to worry about these two. He stepped forward again, toward Yi Shang. Wang. At this time, he activated the Immortal King Grade Spear and Immortal Emperor Pagoda at the same time. Both glowed and pressed down on Yi Shang at the same time. Yi Shang's eyes were deep and cold. Evil energy intertwined around his body. The Immortal King Grade Seal was activated again, bursting with divine energy to meet Lin Tian. In the blink of an eye, the two collided. Divine energy and light rippled together, enveloping the entire space. Clang! With a crisp sound, Lin Tian's spear and Yi Shang's seal collided. The spear and seal were sent flying at the same time. Lin Tian stepped forward. The Immortal Emperor Pagoda intertwined with purple primordial light. He activated it with all his divine energy, and it immediately burst with divine light. The surrounding space was completely shattered in an instant. At the same time, the Immortal Emperor Pagoda intertwined with strands of terrifying lightning. With a sizzling sound, the aura was oppressive. It carried the aura of a heavenly tribulation, as if a heavenly tribulation was condensed inside the pagoda. Yi Shang growled. He immediately activated an extremely powerful divine technique, bursting with divine energy. He also supported the phenomenon in his Sea of Consciousness and the Immortal Tao Law at the same time, meeting Lin Tian's Immortal Emperor Pagoda. Crack! With a soft sound, as the Immortal Emperor Pagoda pressed down, a force as vast as the universe pressed down. It instantly crushed Yi Shang's divine technique, Immortal Tao, and phenomenon in his Sea of Consciousness. This is a precious weapon forged from primordial heavenly crystal. It's really terrifying. It's clearly only at the level of an Immortal King weapon, but it can block the power that can kill an early-stage heavenly god. And its offensive power is so strong. Yi Shang's divine technique, Immortal Tao, and phenomenon in his Sea of Consciousness were shattered in an instant. This is simply... Seeing this scene, the disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were shocked. Artifacts forged from grand mist heavenly crystals. I'm so envious. And Yao Yao giggled. With a wave of her hand, water mist filled the sky. It was mixed with the astonishing Immortal Tao of water, firmly blocking Yuan Yunfu to one side. Get out of my way! Yuan Yunfu's voice was cold, and his divine light trembled. As he attacked Yao Yao, he looked in Lin Tian's direction and stared straight at the Immortal Emperor Pagoda. If you want to go over, you'll have to rely on your own ability to defeat me. Yao Yao smiled. But I don't think you can do it. Yuan Yunfu's gaze was ice-cold. He erupted with even more astonishing divine might and attacked violently. However, it was still difficult for him to surpass Yao Yao. At the same time, on the other side, Lan Tianjin was also staring at Lin Tian's Immortal Emperor Pagoda. His eyes flashed, and he tried to rush in that direction again and again. Unfortunately, he could not get past the little Taichu. At this time, Lin Tian's Immortal Emperor Pagoda came crashing down on Yi Shang's head. Its terrifying power sealed everything. Yi Shang roared. The sea of dead spirits and the vision in his sea of knowledge merged together again and met the Immortal Emperor Pagoda head-on. This time, the Immortal Emperor Pagoda was blocked and could not come down anymore. Swoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air rang out. Lin Tian used the weapon control art to control the immortal Emperor Pagoda. He used the duality steps to move more than 100 zhang in an instant, supporting the yin-yang lotus sea and the reincarnation diagram. He directly passed through Yi Yinshang's innate mystique and the vision in his sea of knowledge and arrived in front of him. Yi Yinshang's eyes narrowed. With a trace of shock, he quickly retreated. However, Lin Tian was much faster than him. In the blink of an eye, he was right in front of him. He directly swung the Chaos Empyrean Fist. The purple lightning of the 5 heaven-shaking thunderclap incantation circled around the fist, making this punch even stronger. Poof! Blood splattered. Yi Yinshang did not dodge and was directly hit in the chest by this punch. Lin Tian stepped forward, not giving his opponent any time to breathe. The 5 heaven-shaking thunderclap incantation activated. Immediately, a sky full of purple lightning fell, enveloping Yi Yinshang. Poof! 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 The purple lightning was incomparably powerful. It directly shattered Yi Yinshang's physical body. Only his soul was left intact. Whoosh! His soul shone brightly. A beam of killing light shot out, intertwined with astonishing soul power. It shot towards Lin Tian's forehead. Lin Tian's thoughts moved slightly. The immortal Emperor Pagoda released a beam of purple light, which crushed this beam of soul power. It was also at this time that Yi Yinshang reformed his physical body. His eyes were cold. He stared at Lin Tian for a moment. Then his body quickly became illusory. Next time, I'll take your head. He was an expert, but also a sharp and intelligent person. At this time, he could see that it was not possible to kill Lin Tian. That Zong's immortal Emperor Pagoda was troublesome. As soon as he finished speaking, his body became even more illusory. In the next moment, he disappeared without a trace. Lin Tian did not have time to stop him. Seeing his opponent disappear, he immediately opened his delusion breaker divine eye. Unfortunately, he still could not see his opponent's body. Even his aura had disappeared. Zong's soul altar in the Yin capital of the world of souls directly moved back to the world of souls. He frowned. Previously, he had searched the sea of consciousness of a celestial king-level cultivator in the world of dead souls, so he knew some things about the world of dead souls. Within the first capital of this world, the Yin capital, there was an altar of dead souls that possessed an extremely mysterious and mighty power. It could be used to freely move from other great worlds to that altar, and it could be done with just a thought. This soul altar could only be controlled by the realm master of the world of souls and the future realm master. As the next realm master of the world of souls, Yi Yinshang naturally could use that soul altar. He thought that the other party should have used that soul altar to directly move from here to the world of souls. Yi Yinshang disappeared. He actually retreated? That Lin Tian is stronger than Yi Yinshang, the 9th on the ranking of 100 immortals? The disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary were shocked. Even the peak true God realm elder of the Imperial Institution was moved. Boom! Divine energy vibrated. Little Taichu and Lan Tianjin were still fighting. And Ai Yao Yao was also fighting Yuan Yunfu. For different auras intertwined. It was very frightening. In that place, the sky and the earth were trembling and cracking. Lin Tian glanced at Lan Tianjin and Yuan Yunfu. Then he stepped into the Lord Theological Seminary and came in front of Bai Ziki and the others. Lend me your god power and demon power. Bai Ziki and the others nodded. They did not ask anything and directly transferred their god power and demon power to Lin Tian. In the blink of an eye, Lin Tian's essence, energy, and spirit were greatly strengthened. His strength reached about 60% of his peak. Okay. His eyes flashed, and he stepped out of the Lord Theological Seminary. Chapter 1772. As Lin Tian appeared beside Ai Yao Yao and pressed Yuan Yunfu with the reincarnation portrait, Yuan Yunfu's expression changed. After all, Ai Yao Yao was very powerful to begin with, and so was Lin Tian. Although he wasn't at his peak at the moment, the reincarnation portrait of the king's territory was still very intimidating with the help of the divine power that Bai Ziki and the rest had transferred over. At that moment, Yuan Yunfu retreated and dodged the reincarnation portrait. "Why are you retreating?" Lin Tian Lung asked. He used the duality steps, leaving afterimages with each step. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Yuan Yunfu, and the reincarnation portrait was raised again. At the same time, Enai Yao Yao released a large amount of water mist, intertwined with the water immortal Dao, and pressed down on Yuan Yunfu. Yuan Yunfu's expression was cold. He was facing Lin Tian and Enai Yao Yao at the same time, and there was a huge pressure on him. There was no way he could block both Lin Tian and Enai Yao Yao at the same time. Whoosh! On the other side, there was a sound of something breaking through the air, and great divine power surged. Lan Tianjin stared at the immortal Emperor Pagoda that Lin Tian sent to little Taichu's head, and a dazzling light flashed in his eyes. With a boom, he propped up the spiritual sea avatar and shrouded little Taichu. At the same time, the immortal Dao laws beside him surged, turning into a huge immortal hand that grabbed at the immortal Emperor Pagoda. "Yeah!" Little Taichu snorted angrily and activated the immortal Emperor Pagoda with the six-colored divine light. It immediately erupted with purple primordial light, which was many times stronger than when Lin Tian activated the immortal Emperor Pagoda with less than half of his divine power. It immediately crushed Lan Tianjin's spiritual sea avatar, and at the same time shattered the huge hand formed by the immortal Dao laws. Lan Tianjin was moved, and then he stepped toward little Taichu again, using an even more powerful mystic art to grab at the immortal Emperor Pagoda. From the scene just now, he felt even more how powerful and valuable the immortal Emperor Pagoda was. In the next instant, with a whoosh, Yuan Yunfu forcefully distanced himself from Lin Tian and Enai Yao Yao and rushed towards the little Taichu. He immediately used his powerful mystique to grab the immortal Emperor Pagoda. Lin Tianling snorted. Using the yin and yang steps and the 5 heaven-shaking lightning incantation, he took a step forward. Purple lightning filled the sky, covering both Yuan Yunfu and Lan Tianjin. The power of the lightning was intimidating. At the same time, Enai Yao Yao made her move. A huge water prison appeared out of thin air, enveloping Yuan Yunfu and Lan Tianjin. "Yeah!" Little Taichu let out a roar. The wings on its back flapped, and it immediately propped up the 4 spirits' manifestation. For a moment, the roar of a dragon shook the sky, and the cry of a phoenix shook the world. Along with Lin Tian's purple lightning and Enai Yao Yao's water prison, they attacked Lan Tianjin and Yuan Yunfu. Moreover, the little guy propped up the immortal Emperor Pagoda as well, causing it to erupt with even more terrifying divine might, illuminating all directions. Yuan Yunfu and Lan Tianjin's expressions changed at the same time, and they each propped up a divine light defense. However, Lin Tian, little Taichu, and Enai Yao Yao were no weaklings. Moreover, little Taichu still had a powerful weapon like the immortal Emperor Pagoda to attack. Its power was terrifying. In the blink of an eye, it shattered the divine light defense propped up by Yuan Yunfu and Lan Tianjin, and a large amount of killing light fell on them. Puff! Puff! Accompanied by 2 bursts of blood mist, Yuan Yunfu and Lan Tianjin did not fare well. They both exploded at the first moment. However, both of them were super experts in the top 10 of the ranking of 100 immortals. Their souls were completely unharmed, and in the blink of an eye, they reformed their physical bodies. Their faces were not looking good. Lan Tianjin's eyes were deep as he stared at the immortal Emperor Pagoda above little Taichu's head. He paused for a moment, then retreated, leaving afterimages all over the sky, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. At the same time, a strange Dao formation appeared under Yuan Yunfu's feet, and in the next moment, it also disappeared at an astonishing speed. Both of them were very strong. At this moment, it could be seen that the combination of Lin Tian, little Taichu, and Enai Yao Yao, together with a powerful weapon like the immortal Emperor Pagoda, was impossible for them to win. They ran pretty fast. Lin Tian's eyes narrowed slightly. He could see that the two of them also had special means. They left in the blink of an eye, and he did not have time to chase after them. In the Lord Theological Seminary, the Imperial Courtyard disciples were also shocked. Yi Yinshang, Lan Tianjin, and Yuan Yunfu actually ran away. These cultivators were shocked. Even the peak true, immortal realm elder of the Imperial Courtyard was shocked. He paused for a moment and then left the place. As an elder of the Imperial Courtyard, if there were disciples of the Lord Theological Seminary fighting in the Imperial Courtyard, he had to stop it in time. If it was outside the Lord Theological Seminary, the Imperial Courtyard did not have to care at all. However, although they did not have to care, some things still had to be reported to the higher-ups of the Imperial Courtyard. Outside the Lord Theological Seminary, Lin Tian exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and put away the immortal Emperor Pagoda and the battle spear at the same time. Little Taichu called out in a childish voice and flew to his shoulder. Lin Tianyi smiled and then looked at Nai Yao Yao and thanked her again. Today, if not for Nai Yao Yao's sudden help, he would have been in some danger. I said you don't have to thank me. Nai Yao Yao looked a little flirtatious, and she giggled. Lin Tian smiled again and said to Nai Yao Yao, "You should also have that Emperor God token, right? Let's go in together?" As the seventh young paragon on the ranking of 100 immortals, Nai Yao Yao definitely had the Emperor God token. Nai Yao Yao nodded, and the two of them quickly entered the Imperial Courtyard. There were many disciples of the Imperial Courtyard watching the battle in front of the Imperial Courtyard. At this moment, when they saw Lin Tian and Nai Yao Yao enter, they immediately made way for them. After all, Lin Tian, Nai Yao Yao, and Little Taichu were too strong, and they definitely had the power to kill early-stage True God experts. Especially Lin Tian, who had previously engraved a terrifying killing formation and actually killed a mid-stage True God. How could these ordinary Imperial Courtyard disciples not feel fear and reverence when they saw these powerful cultivators walking towards them? Lin Tian saw these people's actions, but he did not care. He was already used to this kind of thing. He brought Nai Yao Yao with him and soon met up with Bai Ziki and the rest. Then he invited Nai Yao Yao to the residence area where they were staying for a gathering. Nai Yao Yao was very generous. Coincidentally, she did not have a good residence in the Lord Theological Seminary, so she nodded immediately. Not long after, they arrived at the residence area where Lin Tianyi and the rest were staying. Lin Tian opened his mouth and introduced Bai Ziki, Fanning Xiong, and the rest to Nai Yao Yao. Then he briefly introduced Nai Yao Yao to Bai Ziki, Ling Yun, and the rest. "You are the reincarnation of the water god?" Ling Yun was shocked. "No wonder Lord Tiger found you familiar. You are indeed very similar to the water god ancient elephant found in the sea." The white tiger stared at him. Even people as calm as Bai Ziki and Yang Qi could not help but be moved at this time. This Nai Yao Yao in front of them was actually someone from the ancient era. "I don't remember most of the things in the past. Now I'm just Nai Yao Yao." Nai Yao Yao smiled and said, "I only have some very vague memories of the past." "What kind of vague memories do you have? Do you remember where there are shocking treasures?" the white tiger asked. "No." Nai Yao Yao shook her head. She paused and looked at him. Then she narrowed her eyes and said, "However, when I found my ancient elephant in the sea, I remember you said you wanted to hide it." Chapter 1773. Upon hearing Nai Yao Yao's words, the white tiger's eyes widened. "Did Master Tiger say something like that?" "I don't think so." "No, definitely not." As it said so, its gaze drifted elsewhere. Now it was certain that Nai Yao Yao was the reincarnation of the water god. Back then, due to some conflict with the disciples of the water god palace, it had indeed asked Lin Tian to hide the stone elephant. However, it did not expect Nai Yao Yao to have such memories after her return. At this time, it was rather guilty. After all, the other party was very strong. Nai Yao Yao glanced at it playfully and paused. However, speaking of places where treasures may be hidden, I do know of one. Hearing this, Lin Tian could not help but be moved. She really remembered? Where is it? The white tiger asked, no longer feeling guilty. It was very concerned about heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Beside it, Ling Yun and Wuxing Crocodile could not help but look at an Ai Yao Yao. Let me think. My memories of the past are a little blurry. And Ai Yao Yao said. After a pause, she continued, I think it's a place in the Dongxian continent's eastern desert. I seem to have passed by there before and felt something. It was nothing to me back then, but in my current realm, it should be considered a very valuable treasure. Yes, you can be considered a treasure now? That's definitely something extraordinary. Let's hurry over and dig it out. Ling Yun's eyes lit up, and Ai Yao Yao said, that was many years ago. I can't say for sure if it's still in that place now. When she said that, Ling Yun opened his mouth. He felt that it made sense. After all, too much time had passed since that era. After such a long time, it was very likely that the treasures there had been discovered and taken away by someone else. We can go and look for it, Lin Tian said. At this time, they did not have anything special to do anyway. They could go to the Dongxian continent's eastern desert and take a look. If the treasure mentioned by Ai Yao Yao had not been taken away, they would try their best to retrieve it and bring it back. If it had been taken away by someone else, it was no big deal. They could just treat it as a tour of the Dongxian continent. All right, let's go there and take a look. And Ai Yao Yao nodded, not having any objections. The group immediately left the Lord Theological Seminary, and then they tore open a spatial passageway and appeared in the Dongxian state. The Dong Immortal Prefecture was one of the 12 immortal prefectures of the immortal realms. It was extremely vast, and its mountains were like divine mountains, giving people a sense of ancientness. Where is the eastern desert? The white tiger asked. It's a desert in the eastern part of the Dongxian state. And Ai Yaoni said. She explained briefly. Then, Lin Tian tore open a spatial door and quickly arrived at the eastern region of the Dongxian state. After that, the group of people walked due east for a while in the eastern region and finally saw a large desert. The desert was boundless, and no one knew exactly how wide it was. Not all of it was yellow sand, and there were many shrubs and old forests. Of course, there were very few green plants, and there was not much life. It's right here, but I can't remember the exact location. And Ai Yaoni said, it doesn't matter. It's already very good to be able to accurately pinpoint such an area. Lin Tian said. As he said this, strands of dragon patterns sank into the ground under his feet. At the same time, he opened his divine eyes of delusion breaker and scanned the desert. There was a rich light of dragon patterns intertwined in his eyes. You also know Ai techniques? And Ai Yaoni looked a little surprised when she saw his divine eyes of delusion breaker. Yes. Lin Tian nodded. The divine eyes of delusion breaker combined with the dragon patterns under his feet to search the vast desert more quickly. After receiving an affirmative answer, Ai Yaoni's eyes couldn't help but light up. She was very interested and asked, what abilities do your eyes have? They can predict the trajectory of other people's attacks, see through the essence of many magical powers and secret techniques, see through illusions, and observe the trend of mountains and rivers. That's about it. Lin Tian didn't hide anything. That's all? And Ai Yaoni looked a little disappointed. That's not enough? Lin Tian was a little surprised. He felt that the divine eyes of delusion breaker were already very powerful, but Ai Yaoni actually said, that's all. And Ai Yaoni naturally saw what Lin Tian was thinking. She said, compared to some other eye techniques, it's much worse. Even the sun eye and the moon eye can't compare. This is a magical power that I cultivated at a later stage. At the same level, in terms of the power of the eyes, it is indeed inferior to the true bloodline of the sun eye and the moon eye, Lin Tiandao said. However, what do you mean when you say that even the sun eye and the moon eye can't compare? Could it be that the sun eye and the moon eye are also nothing compared to other eye techniques? Bai Ziki, Fanning Xiong, Yang Qi, and the others were also very curious and looked at Ai Yaoni. As far as they knew, the sun eye and the moon eye were definitely amazing divine eyes. However, from Ai Yaoni's words, they also understood what Lin Tian was trying to say. It seemed that the sun eye and the moon eye were nothing compared to other eye techniques. The sun eye and the moon eye are indeed powerful, but compared to the other eye techniques in the legends, they are indeed too weak. There is no comparison at all. The difference is like heaven and earth. And Ai Yaoni said, "Which eye techniques?" Lin Tian asked. He was a little curious. Were there other divine eyes that were far stronger than the sun eye and the moon eye? Well, I can't explain it clearly. I just have some vague memories of my previous life. I think there are a few eye techniques that have the power to change the world. As she spoke, she rubbed her temples and thought for a long time. Then she said, the human king, it seems that this person has mastered an ultimate eye technique that can destroy the world. He can do it with a single glance. The human king again. Whooshing Crocodile's eyes widened. At the side, Lin Tian was also moved. Over the years, he had heard too many legends about the human king. Ai Yaoni was the reincarnation of the ancient water god, and there were also things about the human king in her remaining memories. The human king had mastered an eye technique that could easily destroy the world. How terrifying is that human king? Why do I feel like he is really invincible? Compared to him, everyone else seems as weak as a baby. The white tiger's eyes widened. It had also heard many legends about the human king. Every time it heard these two words, it would only be shocked. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.